Chapter 1665. When Lin Huqing had just arrived, he had coincidentally seen Tang Ao give a medicinal pill to Luo Yunshang. Lin Huqing had been extremely furious at first, and he had even wanted to tear Tang Ao into two. After all, Luo Yunshang was his son's partner, and the two of them had already been engaged. Once the Scarlet Wasteland incident was over, Luo Yunshang would be his daughter-in-law. But now that Tang Ao had actually given Luo Yunshang a medicinal pill, Lin Huqing naturally couldn't stand by and watch. However, when Lin Huqing saw that the 3 medicinal pills in Tang Ao's jade bottle were 9-star rejuvenation pills, Lin Huqing's attitude immediately changed. The rejuvenation pill was a very common healing medicinal pill. The most interesting thing was that the grades of the rejuvenation pill ranged from 1-star to 9-star, but the higher the grade, the rarer it was. Lin Huqing had lived for so many years, but he had only seen a medicinal pill of this grade once at the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Association's Flying Star auction. Hence, when Lin Huqing held the rejuvenation pills in his hands, Lin Huqing still felt that it was surreal. However, Lin Huqing was sure that he hadn't seen wrongly. The 3 jade-like, crystal-clear medicinal pills in the jade bottle were the extremely rare 9-star rejuvenation pills. It was rumored that this kind of medicinal pill could save one's life as long as one consumed it in time after their internal organs had been severely injured. One had to know that a martial artist's physical body was tough, but if their internal organs were injured, they would similarly die. However, as long as one had this kind of medicinal pill, one could still continue to fight even if they made a mistake and were severely injured by the opponent in the future. The sudden appearance of Lin Huqing caused Luo Yunshang and Lin Xiaofeng to be overjoyed. Although Tang Ao had blocked Wang Meng's sure kill attack, Tang Ao was still a body-refining realm martial artist after all. If Wang Meng still insisted on killing Lin Xiaofeng, no one here would be able to stop him. And Lin Xiaofeng couldn't break free from Wang Meng's restraints, so he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. But now that Linhu City had arrived, things were different. Yin Shang, since this young master gave you this pill, you should just accept it. How can you reject his kindness? Lin Huqing said as he handed the bottle of rejuvenation pills to Luo Yunshang. Although Lin Huqing longed for this bottle of pills, he didn't accept it directly. Instead, he handed it to Luo Yunshang. As long as the elixir was in Luo Yunshang's hands, when he returned to the Lin family's encampment, all he had to do was ask his son to put in a good word for him, and the elixir would naturally be in his hands. Therefore, Linhu City was not in a hurry. Luo Yunshang looked at the pill in her hand with a puzzled expression. Luo Yunshang also recognized that it was a rejuvenation pill, but Luo Yunshang had never seen a pill that was as clear as jade. In Luo Yunshang's knowledge, the rejuvenation pill was a very common pill. Therefore, Luo Yunshang didn't realize the value of this bottle of pills at all. After Lin Huqing handed the pill to her, Luo Yunshang hesitated for a moment, but she still accepted the pill. Lin Huqing was even more satisfied when he saw Luo Yunshang accept the pill. If Luo Yunshang had refused, he would have insisted on Luo Yunshang accepting the pill. However, if that happened, he would have lost face. Chapter 1666. Tang Ao didn't care about a bottle of supreme-grade rejuvenation pills at all. As long as he had the spiritual herbs, Tang Ao could concoct as many of these pills as he wanted. In the Scarlet Wasteland, although Tang Ao didn't get many yuan crystals, he still collected a lot of spiritual herbs. Therefore, Tang Ao was lacking in many things, but he wasn't lacking in pills. After Luo Yunshang took the supreme grade rejuvenation pill, her expression changed. At this moment, Luo Yunshang suddenly felt that her body was a lot lighter. The wound on her left shoulder that was pierced by the sharp arrow was also recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, she discovered that the wound on her left shoulder had recovered to its original state. It was as if she had never been injured. At this moment, even if Luo Yunshang was stupid, she would know that this bottle of pills was not ordinary. Luo Yunshang really wanted to return this bottle of pills to Tang Ao, But looking at Lin Huqing's eyes, Luo Yunshang knew that Lin Huqing would definitely be angry if she did that. Although Luo Yunshang didn't like Lin Huqing like this, Luo Yunshang had no other choice. She really liked Lin Xiaofeng, and Lin Xiaofeng had even saved her life in the past. Because of this, Luo Yunshang had pledged her heart to him. Therefore, she couldn't do anything about Lin Xiaofeng having such a father. Fortunately, Luo Yunshang didn't see any of Lin Huqing's shortcomings in Lin Xiaofeng. Although Lin Xiaofeng was young and frivolous, he was frank and not hypocritical. Of course, Tang Ao didn't know that Luo Yunshang had such an evaluation of Lin Xiaofeng. Otherwise, Tang Ao would definitely concoct a batch of eye-catching pills for Luo Yunshang. Father, hurry up and save me. After that, we'll join forces to kill that old fart Wang Ming. At this moment, Lin Xiaofeng, who was trapped by Wang Ming's trapping array, roared. Clearly, being trapped by Wang Ming's trap array made Lin Xiaofeng very unhappy. At this moment, Lin Xiaofeng wanted to kill Wang Ming to vent his anger. As Lin Xiaofeng spoke, Lin Huqing also walked to Lin Xiaofeng's side. Compared to Lin Xiaofeng and Luo Yunshang, Lin Huqing was much more experienced. Traveling on the Flying Star continent, even if one was not an alchemist or a formation master, one still had to know some common spiritual herbs and formations. Lin Huqing's hand shot out 6 beams of light, and the trapping formation that trapped Lin Xiaofeng let out 2 cracking sounds before it completely shattered. Naturally, Lin Xiaofeng, who was trapped in the trapping formation, was freed. Wang Ming, you old bastard, I'll kill you. After Lin Xiaofeng was freed, he immediately bellowed and wanted to rush towards Wang Ming, but Lin Huqing hurriedly stopped him. Right now, strange treasures kept appearing in the Blood Wasteland. It was very unwise to fight to the death with Wang Ming at this time. Although on the surface, the Wang family only had Wang Ming, who was at the first level of the Origin Realm, Lin Huqing knew that there was still an expert from the Dan Alliance hiding in the dark, and that person also supported the Wang family. However, as long as the Lin family and the Wang family didn't start an all-out war, Lin Huqing believed that person would absolutely not casually attack. In reality, Lin Huqing's thoughts were completely correct. Within the Wang family, there was indeed an expert from the Dan Alliance hiding. Moreover, that person's status was not low either. He was the 5th elder of the Dan Alliance. On the Flying Star continent, on the surface, the 8 Overlord-level powers controlled the entire Flying Star continent. But in reality, the 8 Overlord-level powers only controlled a large portion of the Flying Star continent. Chapter 1667. Although the 8 Overlords weren't interested in that place, the Dan Alliance clearly had some thoughts about that place. Or it could be said that the first elders' people had some thoughts about that place. In the Boundless Mountain Range, the distribution of resources was rather scattered, but it was still rather abundant. However, before, the 5 powers were equally matched, and they were extremely xenophobic. So, even if the 8 overlords had some thoughts about the Boundless Mountain Range, they couldn't interfere. Although the 5 powers in the Boundless Mountain Range were like fire and water, and there were endless conflict between them. Once the 8 overlords wanted to dip their fingers into the Boundless Mountain Range, they would be met with the combined resistance of the 5 powers. Individually, any one of the 5 great forces would be nothing in the face of the 8 great overlords. However, once the 5 forces joined forces, even the Liu family manor would not be able to do anything to them. However, after the appearance of the Blood Wasteland, the Dan Alliance was the first to find a breakthrough point. Right now, the Dan Alliance was preparing to support the Wang family to swallow up the other 4 powers and unify the Boundless Mountain Range. If they could truly do that, the Wang family's power would become the 9th overlord of the Facian continent. After unifying the Boundless Mountain Range, the Dan Alliance would not be any weaker than the 8 overlords. Sadly, the one supporting the Wang family was only a big character in the Dan Alliance. The entire Dan Alliance supported the Wang family. After the Lin family's Lin Huqing and Lin Xiaofeng broke through to the Origin Realm, the Lin family could possibly unify the Boundless Mountain Range. Father, Why did you stop me? After being stopped by Lin Huqing, Lin Xiaofeng was very unhappy. However, Lin Huqing didn't say much. He only coldly snorted, then looked at Tang Ao. Brother, how should I address you? Tang Ao. Although many people were staring at him, Tang Ao was truly someone who wasn't afraid of trouble. From Tang Ao's perspective, this place really did seem to be the border of the Blood Wasteland. Otherwise, these people should not recognize him. Okay, Brother Tang Ao, thank you for helping out just now. My Lin family's residence is not far away. I wonder if Tang Ao can do me the honor of coming over? Lin Huqing really didn't recognize Tang Ao, but Tang Ao could casually take out a top-grade spring returning pill. This made Lin Huqing feel that Tang Ao was somewhat extraordinary. In Linhu City, either Tang Ao himself was a very powerful alchemist, or Tang Ao had some powerful alchemist friends. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Tang Ao to concoct such a top-notch elixir. Currently, all the forces on the Flying Star continent were in a very sensitive period. Alchemists could be said to be a very important resource at this time. The appearance of the Origin crystals in the blood-red wasteland caused the Origin realm warriors to no longer be monopolized by the 8 overlords. Many small clans and small powers had Origin realm warriors appear. Although the Flying Star continent was still peaceful, the entire continent was already in a premonition of storm. Soon, the great battle would begin. However, in a war between factions, it was extremely important. In particular, some top-notch alchemists could even decide the fate of an entire force. Chapter 1668. As for whether or not Tang Ao was the young master of some large faction, Lin Huqing felt that it was unlikely. Looking at Tang Ao's style of doing things, he was more like those wandering martial artists. It had to be said that Lin Huqing's insight was indeed unique. Tang Ao was indeed not the young master of a large faction, but a wandering martial artist. Towards Lin Huqing's invitation, Tang Ao did not reject it after thinking for a while. Tang Ao originally wanted to find out more information. Since Lin Huqing invited him, Tang Ao might as well go to the Lin family's encampment. The Lin family's encampment was set up in a dense forest. There was a small lake in the forest, and there were many tents by the lake. These tents were surrounded by Lin family martial artists. Tang Ao casually glanced at them. The Lin family strength was not bad. The family head, Lin Huqing, and Lin Xiaofeng were both at the first level of the Origin martial realm. Apart from these two, there were 5 or 6 martial artists at the 9th level of the body refining realm. After talking with Lin Huqing for a while, Tang Ao learned some of the mysteries of the Origin crystal. Although Lin Huqing was an old fox, this old fox clearly had some useful information. Previously, Tang Ao knew that the Origin crystal contained an extremely dense essence of energy. Therefore, using it to cultivate would definitely allow one to advance at lightning speed. However, Tang Ao did not expect that martial artists could only absorb and refine an extremely small portion of the boundless essence of the Origin crystal. Also, the higher the cultivation of a martial artist, the better the effect of using the Origin crystal to cultivate. On the other hand, martial artists with lower cultivation would not have much effect when using the Origin crystal to cultivate. After a piece of Origin crystal was consumed, the energy absorbed was even less than that of a low-grade essence cultivating pill. Moreover, Tang Ao also learned of the current situation in the Blood Wasteland from Lin Huqing. At the moment, in the Blood Wasteland, all the factions of the Flying Star continent, big and small, had set up temporary encampments here. Even a manor of the Flying Star continent's #1 faction, the Liu family, had built a stronghold here. Clearly, they were preparing to mobilize a large number of martial artists to this place. As more and more martial artists poured in, the Origin crystals that were easy to obtain at the beginning had become scarce. A portion of these Yuan crystals were used by the warriors who had arrived first to cultivate, while the rest were hoarded by some big forces and merchants. After all, no matter how vast the Scarlet Wasteland was, no matter how many black fog monsters there were, there would still be an end. Once all the black fog monsters were killed, the crystals would be gone. Therefore, while plundering origin crystals, many forces had already begun to hoard origin crystals. The significance of the essence crystal was somewhat similar to the essence augmenting pill, but the essence augmenting pill was an elixir refined from spirit grasses. Spirit materials could be cultivated by humans, and they would continuously reproduce in the wild. Therefore, in theory, as long as there were alchemists, there would be an endless supply of essence cultivating pills. However, essence crystals were different. Every time an essence crystal was used, there would be one less. Once it was used up, there would be no more. In the beginning, crystals and mid-grade essence augmenting pills were equivalent. A mid-grade essence augmenting pill could be exchanged for one crystal. However, as more and more martial artists poured into the Scarlet Wasteland, the price of essence crystals rose higher and higher. Now, a piece of essence crystal could be sold for the price of 10 mid-grade essence augmenting pills. Moreover, on some black markets, it had already reached the price of 15 mid-grade essence augmenting pills for one crystal. This made Tang Ao feel somewhat helpless. As the first martial artist to enter the Scarlet Wasteland, up until now, Tang Ao did not have more than 10 essence crystals on him. Chapter 1669. Senior Brother Tang Ao, thank you for your elixir, but I can't return it to you anymore. When Tang Ao was leisurely strolling around the lake in the forest, Luo Yunshang came to Tang Ao's side and said timidly. Tang Ao heard her voice. Tang Ao was a bit dazed. Apart from the fact that she didn't have the Heavenly Phoenix spiritual jade body, Luo Yunshang and La Kale didn't seem to be any different. Whether it was appearance, voice, or even surname, Luo Yunshang and La Kale were exactly the same. They seemed to be carved from the same mold. Therefore, every time Tang Ao saw Luo Yunshang, Tang Ao would be a bit absent-minded. As for Luo Yunshang's words, Tang Ao didn't pay much attention to it. In the eyes of the warriors of the Flying Star Continent, a top-notch 9-star elixir was just a first-grade elixir in the eyes of Tang Ao. Previously, when Tang Ao's soul sea was completely shattered, Tang Ao could refine it. Now that Tang Ao's soul sea had partially recovered, Tang Ao could refine elixirs of this level even with his eyes closed. Moreover, he could have as many as he wanted. After his soul sea had recovered a bit, the Chongyang elixir, which was a bit challenging for Tang Ao before, was now easily refined by Tang Ao. Therefore, if Luo Yunshang hadn't mentioned the bottle of elixir, Tang Ao would have almost forgotten about it. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew why Luo Yunshang said that she couldn't return it to him. Since Luo Yunshang rejected his elixir for the first time, Tang Ao knew that Luo Yunshang not only looked like La Kale, but also had almost the same personality. She would never want anything from others. Later, because Lin Huqing forced it on her, she had no choice but to accept it. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew that this bottle of pills was no longer in Luo Yunshang's hands. Previously, Tang Ao could see from Lin Huqing's eyes that Lin Huqing desired this bottle of pills very much. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that the bottle of supreme-grade spring returning pills was already in Linhu City's hands. Seeing that Tang Ao didn't say anything and just stared at her blankly, Luo Yunshang was a little nervous. But not long after, Luo Yunshang took out a jade box from her storage ring and handed it to Tang Ao. Senior Brother Tang Ao, I don't have anything good on me, so I'll give this to you. Although the value of this is far from the supreme-grade spring returning pills, this is the best thing I have on me. Now, Luo Yunshang also understood the value of that bottle of pills. The chief alchemist of the Lin family and Luo Yunshang were good friends. After asking her about it, Luo Yunshang finally understood that the pills that Tang Ao had given her were actually the supreme-grade 9-star pills, supreme-grade spring returning pills. No wonder the family head had thickened his face and asked her to accept it. And because of this, Luo Yunshang felt very guilty in her heart. Luo Yunshang felt that it must be because she looked too similar to Tang Ao's partner. So Tang Ao treated her as his partner and gave her such a precious pill. If the pill was still with her at this moment, she would return it to Tang Ao no matter what. But not long ago, the family head had already found her and asked for the pill. The Luo family was originally a small family in the vast mountains. Later, for some unknown reason, they offended a strong enemy and the whole family was almost destroyed. At this time, the Lin family took the initiative to find the Luo family and accepted the remaining members of the Luo family. Otherwise, with the Luo family situation at that time, they would definitely be mercilessly annexed by the surrounding forces. Chapter 1670. Tang Ao knew that if he didn't accept Luo Yunshang's gift, Luo Yunshang would definitely feel bad. Thus, Tang Ao casually accepted the jade box from Luo Yunshang. This jade box was very light, as if it didn't contain anything at all. However, with a sweep of his soul remembrance, Tang Ao could tell that this jade box not only contained something, but also two things. These were two talismans. After seeing these two talismans, Tang Ao was so shocked that he couldn't speak for a long time. Even Tang Ao's hand that was holding the jade box was shaking slightly. Previously, Tang Ao had said that since the Evergreen Valley had a defensive rank 1 immortal talisman, who could guarantee that there wouldn't be any offensive immortal talismans in the Evergreen Valley. Now, Tang Ao was right. Among the two golden talismans in the jade box, one was the rank 5 immortal talisman, Thunder Sacrificial Talisman, and the other was the rank 6 immortal talisman, Space Breaking Talisman. If it weren't for the fact that Luo Yunshang really didn't recognize these two talismans, Tang Ao would definitely think that Luo Yunshang was purposely making fun of him. It should be known that when Luo Yunshang gave these two talismans to Tang Ao, she said that she didn't have anything good on her. Tang Ao thought for a while. Besides the chaotic 6-light mirror, the primordial sacred heaven bow, the farmer god cauldron, and the falling star token that he didn't know of, he really didn't have anything else that was more valuable than these two talismans. According to Tang Ao's knowledge, a rank 5 immortal talisman could already threaten a yin-yang realm expert. As for astral-reaching realm martial artists, they could be easily killed. Even though Tang Ao had a cultivation of peak astral-reaching realm level 9 in his previous life, he wouldn't be able to take a hit from this Thunder Sacrificial Talisman. The other talisman was just as valuable, a rank 6 immortal talisman, Space Breaking Talisman. Tang Ao felt that if he refined this talisman at this moment, he would definitely be able to leave this place. It was just that Tang Ao wasn't that wasteful. With this talisman, Tang Ao had an extra life. In the future, this space-breaking charm would be much more useful than Shui Hen's Blood Shadow escape technique. These two talismans were too tempting for Tang Ao, but with Tang Ao's character, Tang Ao really couldn't convince himself to accept these two talismans. However, if he didn't accept it, Luo Yunshang would definitely feel upset. Sure enough, after seeing Tang Ao's expression, Luo Yunshang said with some disappointment, "Senior brother Tang Ao, I'm sorry. This is really the best thing I have on me. How about I show you my storage ring? You could take whatever you like from it. Or if you need me to do something for you, as long as I can do it, I will promise you." Obviously, in Luo Yunshang's eyes, Tang Ao's extreme rank rejuvenation pellet was the most valuable. She had heard from her sister that in this flying star continent, only the leader of the alchemy guild, Lin Ruchong, could make extreme rank rejuvenation pellets. The extreme rank rejuvenation pellets that Tang Ao had were most likely made by Lin Ruchong. Liu had also told her that she was too stupid to do something as stupid as marrying him. Otherwise, if she met Tang Ao now, Tang Ao would be her Mr. Right. Although Tang Ao looked like a normal wandering martial artist, since Tang Ao had the pellets made by Lin Ruchong himself, how could he be a normal person? Apart from everything else, following Tang Ao would at least be more promising than following Lin Xiaofeng. Moreover, Liu didn't believe that Luo Yunshang looked like Tang Ao's partner at all. In Liu's eyes, Tang Ao must like Luo Yunshang very much. Chapter 1671. After thinking for a long time, Tang Ao finally calmed down and said, Junior sister Yinshang. What I'm going to say next might be a little exaggerated, but you have to believe me. It's all true. The value of these two talismans is far beyond your imagination. Either one of them is worth more than the sum of the 8 great factions of the Flying Star Continent. After hearing Tang Ao's words, Luo Yunshang was about to say something, but Tang Ao stopped her and continued. Don't worry. Listen to me first. I don't mean anything by it. The value of these two talismans is just as I said. Therefore, you can consider taking these two talismans back and give me something else. Of course, these two talismans are very important to me. If you're willing to give them to me, I can give you something else in exchange. Also, this time, Luo Yunshang didn't let Tang Ao continue. Instead, she interrupted Tang Ao and said, Senior brother Tang Ao, these two talismans were given to me by my mother. My mother only knows that they're very valuable, but she doesn't know what they are. But since Senior brother Tang Ao can use them, then I'll give them to Senior brother Tang Ao. If they're really as valuable as Senior brother Tang Ao said, then I'll give them to Senior brother Tang Ao. Ha ha ha. Hearing Luo Yunshang's words, Tang Ao let out a hearty laugh. Ever since Tang Ao's spirit sea and soul sea shattered, he had never laughed so happily. Good. Little sister Yunshang, if you say so, then I'll accept them. How about this? I'll agree to 3 of your requests. As long as it's within my capabilities, you can ask for them. As if infected by Tang Ao's hearty laughter, Luo Yunshang also laughed softly. Ever since the great change in the family, Luo Yunshang had been living in a sad atmosphere. This was the first time Luo Yunshang smiled sincerely since the incident at home. All right, since that's the case, can Senior brother Tang Ao show me your partner's portrait? Luo Yunshang looked at Tang Ao expectantly. Luo Yunshang believed that Tang Ao's partner really looked like her. Otherwise, Tang Ao wouldn't look at her so gently. However, Luo Yunshang still had some doubts. Could it be that in this world, other than twin sisters, there really were people who looked so similar? Is the first request that simple? Do you want to think about it? Tang Ao had originally wanted to tell Luo Yunshang that she could ask for anything from elixirs, high-grade spiritual weapons, array scrolls, or secret manuals. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that with such a precious opportunity, Luo Yunshang only wanted to look at La Kale's portrait. After Tang Ao asked, Luo Yunshang smiled and shook her head. Clearly, her first request was this simple. Tang Ao nodded his head. All right, then I'll show you Tsai. As Tang Ao spoke, a soul remembrance gathered on his palm. Then, this soul remembrance gradually condensed into a mirror. In the mirror, there was a small mountain path covered by clouds and haze, with a faint immortal aura. On this mountain path, a young man and woman were walking down the mountain hand in hand. The young man was naturally Tang Ao. However, at that time, Tang Ao had just suppressed the various experts in the 7 Kills Sex Intersect competition and was in the limelight. Adding on the favor of the 7 Kills Sex #1 beauty, La Kale, Tang Ao was naturally in high spirits. He wasn't like the current Tang Ao, who had been continuously injured and hadn't fully recovered. His entire person seemed much older. Beside Tang Ao, La Kale was a mischievous yet quiet, beautiful young lady. After seeing La Kale's appearance, Luo Yunshang covered her mouth in shock. Clearly, Luo Yunshang couldn't believe that there was someone who looked exactly like her in this world. There is nothing wrong with using exactly like. However, La Kale didn't say anything. Otherwise, Luo Yunshang would realize that not only did she look exactly like La Kale, but even her voice was the same. Because of this, when Tang Ao first saw her, he mistook her for La Kale. After seeing La Kale's image, Tang Ao and Luo Yunshang sat by the small lake in the forest. Tang Ao told Luo Yunshang the story between him and La Kale, as well as the reason for La Kale's final disappearance. At this time, Luo Yunshang completely understood why Tang Ao was so excited when he saw her. Chapter 1672. In Tang Ao's opinion, If his cultivation base recovered to the peak of astral reaching realm 9th level, he only needed one punch to obliterate the entire Flying Star continent. However, Tang Ao didn't know that when Shi Tianyin tried to blast open the Flying Star continent, he was heavily injured by the backlash. Otherwise, Tang Ao wouldn't have dared to say such words. However, Shi Tianyin wasn't here either. Therefore, Shi Tianyin naturally wouldn't come and ruin Tang Ao's plans. Just like La Kale, Luo Yunshang was also very quiet. At this moment, Luo Yunshang was very envious of La Kale. She and La Kale had the same appearance, but had completely different experiences. La Kale had obtained a perfect love. Even if she had gone missing, Tang Ao still deeply loved her. And because of the huge changes in her family, Lin Xiaofeng had done so much for the Luo family. She had no way to repay him, so she could only devote herself to him. Junior sister Yunshang, there are 2 more things you can say now. Just now, Tang Ao had promised Luo Yunshang 3 requests. Now, he had only done 1. Therefore, Luo Yunshang could still make 2 requests. As long as it was within Tang Ao's capabilities, Tang Ao would do his best to help her. Moreover, with Tang Ao's current means, whether it was cultivation techniques, martial skills, secret techniques, spirit items, pills, or anything else that Luo Yunshang wanted, Tang Ao could still satisfy her. Tang Ao was still able to satisfy her, but Luo Yunshang did not seem to have such thoughts. Senior brother Tang Ao, can I be your little sister? Luo Yunshang hesitated for a moment before looking at Tang Ao with great expectation. Because Tang Ao had La Kale, she and Lin Xiaofeng were engaged. Therefore, it was impossible for her to become partners with Tang Ao, so she could only settle for second best and become Tang Ao's sister. Luo Yunshang's thoughts stunned Tang Ao. If Luo Yunshang had said that she wanted a treasure, Tang Ao might not have been so surprised. But now, Luo Yunshang said that she wanted to be his little sister. This caught Tang Ao off guard. However, Tang Ao didn't think for long and nodded. Previously, Tang Ao said that as long as it was within his capabilities, he would agree to Luo Yunshang's request. And now, this request from Luo Yunshang was obviously within his capabilities, so he naturally wouldn't go back on his words. Seeing Tang Ao nod, Luo Yunshang seemed very happy. Then I'll call you Big Brother Tang Ao from now on. When Luo Yunshang spoke, a pair of beautiful big eyes looked at Tang Ao. Not only did Luo Yunshang look like La Kale, but even her behavior and personality were very similar. If it weren't for the wrong time, Tang Ao even suspected that Luo Yunshang was La Kale's reincarnation after an accident. While Tang Ao and Luo Yunshang sat by the lake and talked, Lin Xiaofeng looked at the two with a gloomy face. This bitch, I'm going to kill her. When Lin Xiaofeng said that, he pulled out the long sword in his hand with a swish. But before he could do anything, his sword was pressed back by Lin Huqing. Lin Huqing stroked his beard and said, "You personally led people to deal with the Luo family's matter. Have you forgotten?" Lin Huqing said calmly to Lin Xiaofeng while stroking his beard. That was true. Back then, when the Lin family was in a period of rapid development, many surrounding forces were annexed by the Lin family through various means. Among these forces annexed by the Lin family was the Luo family, where Luo Yunshang was from. Chapter 1673. The Lin Huqing father and son duo were extremely far away from Tang Ao. At this distance, a normal person's soul remembrance wouldn't be able to detect them. Adding on the fact that the Blood Wasteland greatly suppressed a martial artist's soul remembrance, Tang Ao didn't have any misgivings where the two of them were. However, Tang Ao's expression darkened. Through his conversation with Luo Yunshang, Tang Ao knew why Luo Yunshang was with Lin Xiaofeng. Just now, when he heard Luo Yunshang say that Lin Xiaofeng had saved her, Tang Ao felt that something was off. Now that he happened to hear the Lin family father and son duo's conversation, Tang Ao instantly understood. Just as he thought, The Luo family's tragedy was completely caused by this father and son duo. However, if Tang Ao directly told Luo Yunshang probably wouldn't be able to accept it immediately. Although Tang Ao's soul remembrance was powerful and his soul remembrance enveloped the surroundings, Tang Ao couldn't let Luo Yunshang hear the Lin family father and son duo's conversation. However, Tang Ao wasn't anxious. Paper can't wrap fire, and the truth will eventually come out. Moreover, with the Lin family father and son duo's clumsy acting skills, they would give themselves away sooner or later. In the forest, after Lin Huqing spoke, Lin Xiaofeng was still brimming with killing intent. So what? If I hadn't been soft-hearted back then, this slut would have already been killed by me. Oomph. Brute. Lin Huqing heard Lin Xiaofeng's words and coldly harumphed. Lin Huqing was extremely satisfied with his son, whether it was his martial Dao talent or his decisiveness and ruthlessness. However, what made Lin Huqing extremely dissatisfied was that his son was truly a bit slow. A woman like Luo Yunshang was a rare, absolute beauty even on the Flying Star continent. If he had killed Luo Yunshang back then he would have been incredibly stupid. One had to know that on the Flying Star continent, beauties were also a type of resource. How did the Duan clan, one of the 8 hegemons, rise to power? It was the hard work of the 11 Duan clan masters for 1,000 years, day after day, year after year, and they had coincidentally waited for the Murong clan to weaken. Even so, it was impossible for the Duan family to become one of the 8 overlord-level forces. Apart from this, the Duan family had also given the Flying Star Alliance's alliance master, Lu Chuanjia, a beauty. Lin Hu City heard that although this beauty was an ordinary person, she was naturally seductive. During that period of time, Lu Chuanjia was head over heels for her. It was also because of this that Lu Chuanjia obtained the position of one of the Duan clan's 8 hegemons. Because of this, Lin Huqing had told Lin Xiaofeng many times not to look down on women. Not just Lu Chuanjia, even Lu Xingjin, known as the best among the younger generation of the Flying Star continent, had been defeated by a woman. Lin Hu City heard that this woman was also a beautiful, ordinary woman. According to the information gathered in Lin Hu City, this woman didn't care about Lu Xingjin at all, but Lu Xingjin was also very submissive towards her. Sigh. Lin Huqing sighed. Just as Lin Hu City was about to lecture Lin Xiaofeng impatiently said, "Father, I understand." After saying this, Lin Xiaofeng walked toward his own tent. The Lin clan had arrived at the Scarlet Wastelands relatively late. Therefore, although the Lin clan's warriors were busy building the stronghold, it still hadn't been completed. Therefore, the warriors of the Lin clan were currently living in simple tents. Chapter 1674. Luo Yunshang's question really stumped Tang Ao. If it was the Flying Star continent before, it would be impossible to cultivate to the Sea of Souls realm. However, with the appearance of the Scarlet Wasteland and the discovery of Yuan crystals and soul crystals, it should not be a problem for one to cultivate to the Sea of Souls realm. However, it seemed that the amount of Yuan crystals and soul crystals was limited. Because there was no spirit chi in the Flying Star continent, it was very difficult to cultivate to the Sea of Souls realm or even higher. After thinking for a while, Tang Ao said to Luo Yunshang, "Because of the Yuan crystals and soul crystals, it is not impossible to cultivate to the Sea of Souls realm or even higher in the Flying Star continent." Tang Ao paused for a while, then continued, "Actually, the Flying Star continent is not very suitable for cultivation. If junior sister Yunshang is willing, I can take her with me when I leave the Flying Star continent." Although Tang Ao had tried to leave this place before, it would take a long time even though Tang Ao's method allowed him to leave this place. However, with Luo Yunshang's rank 6 space-breaking charm, as long as Tang Ao was willing, Tang Ao could even leave this place right now. However, this space-breaking charm was too precious. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Tang Ao did not want to use it here. The space-breaking charm was a very powerful and special charm. After using it, one could break through the shackles of space and leave this space. However, the space-breaking charm could only teleport the warrior who used it. If it was used by someone else, it could only teleport one person. However, Tang Ao had the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror, so he could put Chu Xiuhan, Luo Yunshang, and Shui Gu into the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror. In this way, it would not be a problem for Tang Ao to take as many people as he wanted. However, for now, Tang Ao only wanted to take these 3 people. As for the other martial artists who were friends with Tang Ao was prepared to ask for their opinions when the time came. If they were willing to leave, Tang Ao didn't mind bringing a few more people with him. Tang Ao estimated that he would probably return to the Black-Yellow continent or the Snow Plain if he used the space-breaking spell, because the 2 continents were not far from the Flying Star continent. That was also why Tang Ao was teleported to the Flying Star continent when he used the space escape rune. Senior brother Tang Ao, can we really leave here? If it was before, Luo Yunshang definitely wouldn't want to leave this place. But now that the Luo family was almost annihilated, Luo Yunshang didn't want to stay in this sad place anymore. Moreover, according to Tang Ao, the outside world was even more exciting. Those high-level planes were more suitable for cultivation, and there were more interesting things, including many life spirits that she had never seen before. Of course, when I leave, I will definitely take junior sister Yunshang with me. However, although the outside world is exciting, it is also dangerous. Junior sister Yunshang, are you sure you want to go? High-level planes were indeed more fertile than low-level planes. There were more martial artists and all kinds of treasures. There were all kinds of demon beasts, spirit herbs, cultivation methods, martial skills, and many things that Luo Yunshang couldn't see in the Flying Star continent could be found in the high-level planes. Chapter 1675. As Tang Ao and Luo Yunshang were talking, a woman in green walked over. This was a young girl about the same age as Luo Yunshang. There was a faint pill fragrance on her body. As the wind blew past, the fragrance also entered Tang Ao's nose. After smelling this fragrance, Tang Ao found it rather interesting. The pill fragrance on this young girl's body was a very special pill. This pill was called 100 Flower Fragrance. Although it had such a name, it was actually a pill. However, this pill wasn't meant to be eaten. Instead, it was carried in a pouch and hung on one's body. Tang Ao scanned with his sole remembrance. Indeed, he found a green pouch at the young girl's waist. There were 2 pills in the pouch. These 2 pills were naturally 100 Flower Fragrance. Sister Yunshang, this must be senior brother Tang Ao, right? This young girl clearly recognized Luo Yunshang. She walked over with a smile and sat down next to Luo Yunshang. Seeing this young girl, Luo Yunshang also introduced her to Tang Ao. Big brother Tang Ao, this is Sister Lu Yu. Sister Lu Yu is a very powerful pill refiner. Sister Yunshang must be joking. In front of pill refiner Tang Ao, how could I dare say I'm powerful? Although Lu Yu said this, her eyes were burning with fighting spirit. Tang Ao knew why, because from the 200 flower fragrance elixirs in the pouch on Lu Yu's waist, Tang Ao could tell that Lu Yu's alchemy ability was probably even better than Gong Yangjio's during the alchemy conference. Tang Ao hadn't seen Lin Ruchang refine pills, but from Lin Ruchang's attitude towards Gong Yangjio, Tang Ao could tell that Lin Ruchang's pill refinement ability was about the same as Gong Yangjio's. Therefore, if he wasn't on the Flying Star continent, this young girl's pill refinement ability might very well be the best in the Flying Star continent. However, Tang Ao didn't understand why this young girl didn't participate in the pill refinement conference with her pill refinement ability. With her pill refinement ability, there was no need for her to join a faction like the Lin family. Even if she joined the Pill Alliance, she would still be an honored guest, because he took first place in this pill refinement conference and was recognized as the best pill refiner in the Flying Star continent. Lu Yu also wanted to compete with him. Just by looking at the 200 flowers fragrance pills refined by Lu Yu, Tang Ao knew that although Lu Yu's alchemy skills were not as good as his, they were not far off. This also showed how monstrous Lu Yu's pill refinement ability was. It should be known that Tang Ao had cultivated for 2 lives, and in this life he had even inherited the pill refinement ability of alchemy Emperor Shinno. However, even if Tang Ao were to refine the 100-flower fragrance pills, Tang Ao's pills would only be slightly better than this young girl's. If Lu Yu's pill refinement ability was too much lower than his, Tang Ao naturally wouldn't be interested in competing. However, since Lu Yu's pill refinement ability was similar to his, Tang Ao was naturally willing to play with Lu Yu. When Tang Ao said that it was similar, he meant that Lu Yu's pill refinement ability was similar to his when it came to refining first-grade pills. If it was refining high-level pills, Tang Ao felt that Lu Yu might not even have heard of it. We'll know who's better after the competition. Junior sister Lu Yu, why don't you compete with me? How about the best of 5? If there was a huge difference between the 2 pill refiners, the winner could be decided in 1 round. Chapter 1676. When Lu Yu had heard Tang Ao's name, she had thought that it might be a martialist with the same name. However, after seeing the elixir pills in Lin Huqing's hands, she knew that the Tang Ao from the Lin family's encampment was Tang Ao, who was known as the #1 alchemy master in the Flying Star Continent. Although Lin Ruchang had refined supreme-grade youth rejuvenation pills before, Lu Yu had seen Lin Ruchang's supreme-grade youth rejuvenation pills. Therefore, Lu Yu was sure that the supreme-grade youth rejuvenation pills in Lin Huqing's hands were definitely not refined by Lin Ruchang. The supreme-grade youth rejuvenation pills that Lin Ruchang had refined were far inferior to the 2 supreme-grade youth rejuvenation pills that Lin Huqing had obtained. After seeing those 2 elixir pills, Lu Yu also had the intention to have a competition with Tang Ao. As for why Tang Ao thought that Lu Yu did not join the Alchemy Guild, it was because Lu Yu really looked down on the Alchemy Guild. After all, even the Alchemy Guild's leader, Lin Ruchang, was far inferior to her in alchemy. Lu Yu was actually not a martialist from the Flying Star Continent. She had come here by chance while exploring some ruins. Like everyone else, Lu Yu could not cultivate after coming to the Flying Star Continent. However, she had continuously studied elixir pills to improve her physique. In less than a year, she could absorb and refine the unique essence energy of the Flying Star Continent. Lu Yu's actual alchemy skills were beyond Tang Ao's imagination. This was because Lu Yu had already surpassed the level of a spirit alchemy master before coming to the Flying Star Continent. In other words, Lu Yu's actual alchemy skills were above Tang Ao's. Although Tang Ao felt that he could also refine Grade 1 immortal pills now, Tang Ao had not really refined a Grade 1 immortal pill yet. After Tang Ao proposed a competition with Lu Yu brought Luo Yunshang and Tang Ao to her tent. At the entrance of the tent, Tang Ao suddenly stopped. On the surface, Lu Yu's tent looked like an ordinary tent. However, with Tang Ao's skypolarity eyes, he could tell that it wasn't a tent at all. It was a Grade 1 immortal palace. Immortal mansions were the cultivation abodes of some high-level martialists. Ordinary mansions were usually made with some spirit items, but immortal artifact-level mansions were called immortal mansions. At this moment, Lu Yu's tent was an illusion of an immortal abode. If it wasn't for the fact that Tang Ao's Heavenly Peak pupils accurately saw that Lu Yu is only a normal first-level Origin Realm martial artist, Tang Ao would have truly thought that Lu Yu was an old monster at the Turbid Heaven stage like Shi Yunyan. In fact, Tang Ao Tang Lu Yu's cultivation realm, and Ao Lu, and Lu Yu and Black World Ao was that Lu Liang realm. Lu Yu, who had Lu Ao had realm, was a Yang Yu. Lu Yu had just reached the peak of astral reaching realm level 9 and was an Yin Yang realm warrior. However, just like Shi Yunyan, all of the immortal spirit power inside Lu Yu's body had disappeared. For almost 1.5 years, Lu Yu had been a normal person in the Flying Star Continent. Fortunately, Lu Yu was a Grade 1 immortal alchemist. After spending more than 1 year, Lu Yu had successfully improved her body, which allowed her to train in the Flying Star Continent. However, he was different from Tang Ao. Although Lu Yu changed his body and could also cultivate, he could not break through the shackles of the origin energy of the Flying Star Continent. After cultivating to the peak of the first level of the origin realm, Lu Yu could no longer increase his cultivation. After hearing that yuan crystals had appeared in the Blood Wasteland, and that a lot of warriors had used yuan crystals to break through to origin martial realm level 1, Lu Yu also wanted to see what yuan crystals were. Chapter 1677. Currently, the Lin family was cooperating with her rather happily. Every time she refined elixirs, the Lin family would provide her with 2 portions of the spiritual herbs. After the elixirs were refined, she would take 50% of the elixir's profits. At the same time, she would receive generous amounts of primordial crystals as remuneration. Although Lu Yu felt that it would not be too difficult for her to obtain primordial crystals, since the cooperation with the Lin family was rather pleasant, she might as well let the warriors of the Lin family help her collect primordial crystals. At the entrance of Lu Yu's immortal residence, Tang Ao used his sky polar eyes to examine it carefully. Then, Tang Ao walked into the immortal talisman. With the help of his sky polar eyes, Tang Ao found that the immortal talisman was no different from an ordinary tent. Tang Ao saw that there were indeed some restrictions and arrays in the immortal residence. However, because there was no spirit energy in the Facian continent, these restrictions and arrays were obviously useless. Without these restrictions and arrays, the immortal residence would become a toothless tiger. Moreover, in Tang Ao's opinion, Lu Yu did not have any ill intentions towards him. She merely wanted to exchange pointers with him in alchemy. In Lu Yu's tent, things were very simple. Apart from a tea table, there was nothing else. However, Tang Ao also knew that this immortal residence was not so simple. It was just that some things had been hidden by Lu Yu. Moreover, this immortal residence was quite special. Even with Tang Ao's sky polar eyes, he could only vaguely see that Lu Yu had hidden some things. As for what exactly Lu Yu had hidden, Tang Ao had no idea. At this point, Tang Ao also believed Ming Di's words. That was his sky polar eyes, which had 36 snow petal patterns, was not the limit of the sky polar eyes. Otherwise, there was no reason that the sky polar eyes, which were known as the eyes that could see through heaven and earth, could not see through the things hidden in the immortal residence. However, this time, Tang Ao was here to exchange pointers with Lu Yu. Therefore, Tang Ao naturally did not care about anything else. After Lu Yu brought Tang Ao and Luo Yunshang to her tent, she picked up the teapot on the table and poured a cup of spiritual tea for Tang Ao and Luo Yunshang. Senior brother Tang Ao, junior sister Yunshang, please. Lu Yu smiled and took a sip of the spirit tea in his cup. Tang Ao, on the other hand, was not as particular as Luo Yunshang and Lu Yu. He lifted the teacup and finished it in one gulp. Immediately, Tang Ao realized that Lu Yu was indeed powerful. After drinking the tea, Tang Ao felt the blood in his body flow smoothly. Obviously, this tea was no ordinary tea. At this moment, Tang Ao was a little curious about Lu Yu. Tang Ao did not understand why Lu Yu, who had such a high level of attainment in the field of pills and herbs, would submit himself to a small force like the Lin family. Could it be that Lu Yu also owed the Lin family a favor? However, looking at Lu Yu, it did not seem like it at all. Senior brother Tang Ao, we don't need to win 3 out of 5. Let's win 2 out of 3. What do you think? Although Lu Yu was certain that Tang Ao's pill refinement skills were not bad, it would be too embarrassing for her, a pill refiner, to compete with an ordinary pill refiner in 5 rounds. Moreover, Lu Yu was giving enough face to Tang Ao by saying that it would be best 2 out of 3. In Lu Yu's opinion, even if it was best 2 out of 3, she would only need to compete 2 rounds. This was because no matter how good Tang Ao's pill refinement skills were, Lu Yu did not think that Tang Ao's pill refinement skills would be better than hers. Of course, no problem. Tang Ao's thoughts were similar to Lu Yu's. Although this kind of competition would usually be best 3 out of 5, Tang Ao felt that it would be too embarrassing for him, a pill refiner who could already concoct immortal pills, to compete with a pill refiner for a lower realm. Chapter 1678. While Tang Ao and Lu Yu were competing, Luo Yunshang was watching them like a curious baby. On the surface, it seemed like a duel between two peak 9-star alchemy masters. In fact, even Lu Yu and Tang Ao didn't know that their opponent was also a grade 1 alchemy master. The only difference was that Tang Ao had inherited the alchemy techniques of the Shinong Emperor, while Lu Yu was the direct disciple of the heavenly elixir sect's alchemy emperor, Qin Yuan. Among the younger generation of alchemy masters in the true martial domain, Lu Yu was rarely matched. Therefore, when Lu Yu was competing with Tang Ao in alchemy, Lu Yu felt that he was bullying Tang Ao. In Lu Yu's cave abode, Lu Yu and Tang Ao took out their respective alchemy furnaces. Tang Ao took out the black crag furnace that he had used during the alchemy conference. Naturally, Tang Ao couldn't bully Lu Yu with the Shinong cauldron. Lu Yu also had a good alchemy furnace. However, when she saw that Tang Ao took out a native alchemy furnace from the Flying Star continent, she didn't take out a high-grade alchemy furnace either. The black crag cauldron that Tang Ao took out was made of materials that were unique to the Flying Star continent. Although the grade of this cauldron was not bad, the black crag cauldron could only be considered ordinary among the cauldrons that Lu Yu had seen. Senior brother Tang Ao, how do you want to compete? Lu Yu was obviously very confident. As a true grade 1 alchemy master, he did not think that he would lose to Tang Ao, an alchemy master from the Flying Star continent, in terms of alchemy. However, Lu Yu didn't know that Tang Ao wasn't an alchemy master from the Flying Star continent. Just like her, he had come from another high-level continent. Moreover, Tang Ao already possessed the ability to refine grade 1 alchemy pills. However, up until now, Tang Ao hadn't had the opportunity to do so. Even though Tang Ao had some immortal herbs on him, these immortal herbs weren't enough to form a complete immortal pill formula. Since it was Lu Yu who asked him to explain the rules of the competition, Tang Ao did not refuse. In Tang Ao's opinion, it didn't matter if he or Lu Yu made the rules, as long as it was fair to both parties. After pondering for a moment, Tang Ao said, "Junior Marshal Sister Lu Yu, how about we compete in refining 3 types of elixirs? For the first type of elixir, we will refine the essence-nourishing elixir. For the second type of elixir, we will refine the 100-flower fragrance. And for the third type of elixir, we will refine the heavy yang elixir. What do you think?" Although refining these 3 elixirs seemed to be extremely fair, Tang Ao had refined the best heavy yang elixir and the supreme grade vitality enhancement elixir, so Lu Yu seemed to be at a disadvantage. After all, Lu Yu might be good at refining other elixirs, but he was not good at refining the supreme grade vitality enhancement elixir or the heavy yang elixir. However, to Tang Ao's surprise, Lu Yu didn't think too much about it. She nodded immediately. Although Lu Yu had heard that Tang Ao had refined the supreme grade vitality enhancement elixir and the heavy yang elixir during the alchemy conference, Lu Yu didn't think that Tang Ao's elixirs would be better than hers. The heavy yang elixir was the most difficult elixir to refine among the 9-star elixirs. Clearly, there was no problem for Tang Ao to choose the heavy yang elixir for the competition. Chapter 1679. Lu Yu nodded and waved his hand behind him. A row of medicine cabinets and a pill testing stone appeared. Tang Ao had never seen this kind of elixir testing stone in the black-yellow continent or the snow plain. However, Tang Ao had seen it once in the elixir refining conference not long ago. Tang Ao originally thought that the pill evaluation stone was unique to the Dan Alliance. He did not expect to see it here again. However, Tang Ao knew that Lu Yu's elixir testing stone was much more advanced than the ones in the Elixir Guild's Alchemy Plaza. Tang Ao had seen all the pill testing stones in the Dan Alliance Alchemy Square. Although the pill testing stone looked magical, it was just a special spiritual weapon. Although the inscription array inside the Dan Alliance Alchemy Square was very neat, the grade of the inscription array was not very high. At this moment, Lu Yu's pill evaluation stone was completely integrated. If one only used remembrance to examine it, this pill evaluation stone would seem like a natural stone. However, in reality, this was not the case. The inscription inside this pill evaluation stone was very complicated and ancient. It was like the veins in the body that were embedded in the pill evaluation stone. Therefore, this pill evaluation stone looked like it was formed naturally. Tang Ao had heard of such a refining method from Yin Xiaoyao, but this was the first time Tang Ao had seen a spiritual weapon refined to such a level. Although Tang Ao was already a 6th grade craftsman, Tang Ao knew that he was unable to achieve this level. Thinking of this, Tang Ao sighed inwardly. Whether it was alchemy, forging weapons, or formation inscriptions, each of them was extensive and profound. He still had a long way to go to reach the pinnacle. At the same time, Tang Ao was secretly impressed by his master, Yin Xiaoyao. Yin Xiaoyao was known as the 3 Saints of Unfettered. He was known as the 3 Saints of Unfettered because he was proficient in alchemy, blacksmithing, and formations. However, up until now, Tang Ao had not even figured out what he was best at, alchemy, let alone anything else. Therefore, Tang Ao did not know when he would be able to reach Yin Xiaoyao's level. However, it was still too early to talk about that now. Right now, it was better to win against Lu Yu first. Senior apprentice brother Tang Ao, why don't we compete in refining these 3 pills and then add some stakes? If I lose, I'll give you 100 crystals. If you say it, you'll also give me 100 crystals. If it was an ordinary martial artist, 100 yuan crystals was definitely not a small number. According to the current price, 1 yuan crystal was equivalent to 10 mid-grade essence cultivating pills. Then 100 yuan crystals would be equivalent to 1,000 mid-grade essence cultivating pills. This number of medium-grade essence nourishing pills would even cause some mid-sized forces to suffer greatly, let alone those loose cultivators. Fortunately, although Tang Ao was a loose cultivator, Tang Ao was not an ordinary loose cultivator. Instead, he was a top-notch alchemist. Among all the martial artists, alchemists were a very wealthy group. It was just that countless people yearned to be alchemists, but there were very few who could actually become one. To become an alchemist, one must first have a strong psyche, and it would be best if one had a fire elemental spiritual root, which would make it easier to control flames. However, these were not enough. One would also need a good master to guide them in learning alchemy, and finally, a certain amount of wealth. Every high-level alchemist could be said to have been created by piling up unparalleled spiritual herbs. The consumption of these spiritual herbs was equivalent to the consumption of wealth. Therefore, without a certain amount of wealth, it was very difficult to become an alchemist. Chapter 1680. Although Tang Ao was also in the Scarlet Wasteland when everyone started to collect the crystals, Tang Ao was entangled by Yang Miao and Han Yen. As a result, Tang Ao only managed to collect a dozen or so crystals. One must know that the strength of the cultivators there was weaker than Tang Ao. However, at that time, the weakest one had obtained more than 200 yuan crystals. Only Tang Ao had obtained more than 10 yuan crystals. Now, Tang Ao wanted to use the crystals to cultivate. He did not expect that Lu Yu would send him crystals. As for losing 100 crystals to Lu Yu, it was not within Tang Ao's consideration. In Tang Ao's mind, if he lost to a little girl like Lu Yu in alchemy, then there would be no need for him to practice alchemy in the future. He was not cut out for it. However, this time, Tang Ao had really misjudged. Lu Yu's alchemy ability was not any worse than Tang Ao's. Therefore, it was still hard to tell who would win the competition between Tang Ao and Lu Yu. Seeing that Tang Ao and Lu Yu were ready to compete, Luo Yunshang started to worry about Lu Yu. Although Luo Yunshang knew that Lu Yu's alchemy skills were not weak, after knowing that Tang Ao was this year's Alchemy Conference's top 3 rankings and was known as the Flying Star Continent's #1 alchemist, Luo Yunshang wondered if her sister Lu Yu had refined her brain in alchemy. It was obvious that Lu Yu wanted to give crystals to Tang Ao. Moreover, the number of crystals was not small. Until now, Luo Yunshang did not have more than 30 crystals on her. Therefore, Lu Yu and Tang Ao's big bet made Luo Yunshang sigh. As more and more warriors entered the Scarlet Wasteland, crystals became more and more precious. Yuan crystals had always been in high demand. In addition, many martial artists used Yuan crystals to cultivate, constantly consuming Yuan crystals. Some of the great powers with foresight had also begun to hoard Yuan crystals. This caused the price of Yuan crystals to rise higher and higher. Luo Yunshang and the rest of the Lin family had arrived at the Scarlet Wasteland relatively late. At this time, it was not easy to obtain Yuan crystals in the Scarlet Wasteland. In addition, the Lin family's encampment was far from the area where the black fog monsters were active, so it was even more difficult to obtain Yuan crystals. At this time, Tang Ao and Lu Yu also started refining elixirs. The flame Tang Ao used was still an ordinary alchemy flame, but Lu Yu used a sky blue flame. Tang Ao was secretly envious when he saw the sky blue flame. Although the sky blue flame in Lu Yu's hand looked no different from an ordinary alchemic fire, Tang Ao knew that this flame was called the Heavenly Cloud Flame. It was one of the many strange flames in the world. The power of the Heavenly Cloud Flame was even stronger than Tang Ao's Netherworld Flame. However, envious was just envious. Although Tang Ao did not know how Lu Yu had obtained the Heavenly Cloud Flame, Tang Ao did not have any special thoughts about it. Everyone had their own opportunities. Although the Heavenly Cloud Flame was of great help to Tang Ao, and Lu Yu was clearly not a match for Tang Ao, Tang Ao did not have any thoughts of snatching the Heavenly Cloud Flame. Although it was not uncommon to kill people and steal their treasures in the world of martial arts, Tang Ao had his own principles. He would not take anything that did not belong to him. Tang Ao would not do something like killing people and stealing their treasures at the sight of wealth. When Tang Ao recognized the Heavenly Cloud Flame, Lu Yu secretly laughed. Chapter 1681. The blue alchemy fire was burning in the alchemy furnace. The competition between Tang Ao and Lu Yu had officially begun. Although Luo Yunshang did not know alchemy, Luo Yunshang was very interested in the competition between Tang Ao and Lu Yu. However, Luo Yunshang still did not think highly of Lu Yu, because in the alchemy conference not long ago, Tang Ao was the alchemist who ranked first on all three lists. Although she did not think highly of Lu Yu, based on their personal relationship, Luo Yunshang still hoped that Lu Yu would not lose too badly. The first round of competition between Tang Ao and Lu Yu was about the Vitality Augmenting Pill. The Vitality Augmenting Pill was very important in the Facian continent. In the Facian continent, the Vitality Augmenting Pill was the most important cultivation resource for martial artists. In order to increase the speed of cultivation, the Vitality Augmenting Pill was definitely the first choice. Moreover, the most important thing about the Vitality Augmenting Pill was that it had very few side effects. Under normal circumstances, any kind of alchemy pill would have elixir toxins, and the Vitality Augmenting Pill was no exception. However, compared to other alchemy pills, the elixir toxins of the Vitality Augmenting Pill were almost negligible. Moreover, the Vitality Augmenting Pill refined by some powerful alchemists could reduce the elixir toxins limitlessly. After the start of alchemy, Tang Ao threw all the spiritual herbs into the alchemy furnace as usual. Tang Ao's method of alchemy surprised Luo Yunshang, who was standing at the side. She covered her mouth with her hand. Although Luo Yunshang was not an alchemist, Luo Yunshang often saw other alchemists doing alchemy. However, among all the alchemists that Luo Yunshang had seen, Luo Yunshang had never seen an alchemist throw all the spiritual herbs into the alchemy furnace before starting. Luo Yunshang was not the only one who was surprised. Lu Yu was also surprised when he saw Tang Ao throw all the spiritual herbs into the furnace. If Lu Yu wanted to, as a grade 1 alchemy master, she could do the same as Tang Ao and throw all the spiritual herbs into the alchemy furnace. However, Lu Yu had never done this since she started learning alchemy. She had participated in countless alchemy competitions in the past, but she had never seen an alchemy master do this. Normally speaking, no matter what kind of elixir was being refined, it was necessary to put the spirit grass into the alchemy furnace in sequence. During this period, it might not be put in the spirit grass one by one, but it was absolutely impossible to be like Tang Ao, who directly put all the spirit grass into the alchemy furnace. In order to refine an elixir like the supreme grade essence fostering elixir, it was normal to put the spirit grass into the alchemy furnace one by one. Therefore, Lu Yu was a little confused when she saw Tang Ao's method of refining elixir. However, Lu Yu only took a glance at Tang Ao before she returned her attention to her alchemy furnace. Due to the use of the heavenly cloud fire, it was very easy for Lu Yu to refine the medicinal liquid essence. Usually, after Lu Yu threw in a spirit grass, the impurities in the spirit grass were quickly burned to ashes. Then, pure medicinal liquid essence was quickly refined by Lu Yu. While he was refining the medicinal liquid essence, Lu Yu was also fusing some of the medicinal liquids. If other alchemists found out that Lu Yu could refine elixirs like this, they would definitely be extremely shocked. However, Lu Yu's alchemy furnace was completely isolated from the prying eyes of other warriors. Therefore, without Lu Yu's permission, it was not easy for other alchemists to see Lu Yu refine elixirs. Chapter 1682. Therefore, Tang Ao naturally saw the changes in the herbs in Lu Yu's cauldron. After seeing the speed at which the heaven cloud flame refined the essences of the herbs, Tang Ao was secretly envious. Although the alchemy fire could also be used to refine pills, a normal fire like the alchemy fire was obviously not enough to refine high-grade pills. Moreover, while the alchemy fire could be used to refine low-grade pills, the speed was extremely slow. Refining a top-grade vitality-augmenting pill required 36 kinds of medicinal herbs. After a while, Lu Yu put the medicinal herbs into the alchemy furnace one by one. However, Lu Yu had also extracted the medicinal essences of 17 kinds of spirit grasses. Moreover, the essences of several kinds of spirit grasses had impressively been fused together. Seeing Lu Yu's method, Tang Ao knew that Lu Yu was definitely not simple. Of course, Lu Yu's method wasn't completely useless. Instead, it was to lock in the medicinal efficacy to the greatest extent. This caused the loss of medicinal efficacy to be minimized during the refining process of the herbs into pills. This method seemed simple, but to achieve this level of alchemy, apart from having an abnormally agile soul remembrance, one had to be very familiar with the changes of the essence of the herbs at every stage. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Tang Ao really wouldn't believe that the alchemists of the Flying Star Continent could do this. After all, even Tang Ao himself could only do this when refining pills that he was relatively familiar with. Of course, Tang Ao also didn't know if this was because Lu Yu often refined supreme-grade vitality-cultivating pills. When Lu Yu had extracted the essence of 17 types of spiritual herbs, Tang Ao had yet to completely extract the essence of a single type of spiritual herb. This was because Tang Ao wasn't just putting on an act when he threw all the herbs into the cauldron. After Tang Ao threw all the herbs into the cauldron, Tang Ao also refined all the herbs at the same time. If other alchemists saw this scene, they would definitely be so shocked that they wouldn't be able to speak. The reason why refining pills needed to be refined one by one was because the soul remembrance of alchemists was limited. They couldn't control the changes of too many herbs in the cauldron at the same time. However, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was too powerful and clearly wasn't suitable for normal pill concoction methods. Moreover, the reason why Tang Ao did this was also to reduce the loss of medicinal efficacy during the process of refining the spiritual grass into elixirs. Time slowly passed. Although Tang Ao's pill concoction speed had increased after his soul remembrance recovered, compared to Lu Yu's heavenly cloud flame, Tang Ao's speed was still too slow. Even after Lu Yu had refined all 36 types of spiritual herbs, Tang Ao's spiritual herbs were still not complete. However, Tang Ao also discovered something interesting. When Lu Yu was refining the elixir, He did not use the classic elixir recipe for refining the supreme grade vitality enhancement elixir. Instead, he used his own modified version. Although the spirit herbs that Lu Yu modified were different from his, Lu Yu's thought process when modifying the pill formula was exactly the same as his. Seeing this, Tang Ao silently sighed in admiration. One had to know that Tang Ao was the descendant of the Shennong Emperor and had the 100-herb collection, so he had a very deep understanding of many spiritual herbs. It was also because of this that Tang Ao was able to make such modifications to the supreme grade vitality cultivating pills pill formula. Chapter 1683. Moreover, unlike Tang Ao's soul remembrance that could penetrate Lu Yu's pill furnace, although Lu Yu's soul remembrance was powerful, Lu Yu found that her soul remembrance couldn't penetrate Tang Ao's pill furnace. The black rock pill furnace Tang Ao was currently using was personally made by Tang Ao. No matter what, Tang Ao was a 6th grade forging great master. If the pill furnace he personally made allowed others to easily spy on his pill concoction, Tang Ao would lose too much face. After seeing the power of Lu Yu's heavenly cloud flame, Tang Ao secretly decided that if he had the chance, he would also get a powerful flame. Although the Netherworld Flame's extreme immortal underworld flame was also a very powerful flame, it was different from the Netherworld Flame's Yin attribute. Immortal underworld flame didn't have an attribute. However, right now, Tang Ao's Netherworld Flame was clearly still miles away from Immortal Underworld Flame. Just as Tang Ao was thinking about the flame, the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror, which hadn't moved for a long time, suddenly began to fluctuate slightly. Subsequently, Tang Ao saw that a golden scroll had appeared in the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror space. Scanning with his soul remembrance, Tang Ao saw 3 large words on the golden scroll: Divine Flame Scripture. Just by looking at the name, Tang Ao really didn't know what the Divine Flame Scripture was for. Coincidentally, Tang Ao was still refining spirit herb essences, so Tang Ao decided to multitask, using a portion of his soul remembrance to scan the Divine Flame Scripture. This scroll had appeared in the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror, so no matter what it was, it definitely wasn't ordinary. In layman's terms, anything produced by the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror was definitely of high quality. Up until now, Tang Ao had obtained the ancient cultivation technique Ancient God moves the heavens from the Primal Chaos 6 light mirror. He had also obtained the heavens evolution record that could allow his life soul to advance quickly. Not long ago, he had obtained the 100-herb collection that recorded all spirit herbs in the world. Now that he had obtained this Fire God scripture and had the experience from the previous 3 scriptures, Tang Ao was looking forward to this Fire God scripture. After Tang Ao's soul remembrance entered the Divine Flame Scripture, an ancient voice entered Tang Ao's mind. There are thousands of flames in the world, and all of them are fire. Tang Ao understood that it was referring to the fact that although there were endless strange flames in the world, the essence of these flames was still flames. Tang Ao continued to read, and Tang Ao's expression became slightly surprised. After looking at it for a while, Tang Ao understood what this Divine Flame Scripture was. This Divine Flame Scripture was an ancient text that specialized in the advancement of flames. The one who wrote this Divine Flame Scripture was an ancient expert called Red Lotus Tao Master. After reading the Fire God Scripture, Tang Ao's understanding of fire suddenly became clear. In the Divine Flame Scripture, Red Lotus Tao Master said that all the strange flames in the world were essentially one type of flame. The difference was that these flames had different attributes, so they formed different types of flames. In Red Lotus Tao Master's records, there were 3 types of flames in the world. The first type of flame was mortal fire, which was the most ordinary flame, the most ordinary and basic flame. Chapter 1684. Among the 100 types of immortal flames, Tang Ao saw the immortal underworld flame. Tang Ao was slightly surprised when he saw the ranking of the immortal underworld flame. Although Tang Ao knew that the immortal underworld flame was extraordinary, Tang Ao didn't expect it to be the second strongest flame on the immortal underworld flame list. After reading the divine flame scripture, Tang Ao had a very clear understanding of immortal flames. He also knew how rare and powerful they were. However, the immortal underworld flame was still second on the immortal underworld flame list, which shocked Tang Ao. Through the divine flame scripture, Tang Ao learned that the immortal underworld flame was a type of acquired flame. Just as Ming Di had said, the immortal underworld flame had evolved from the netherworld flame. However, after carefully looking at how the netherworld flame had evolved into the immortal underworld flame, Tang Ao's excitement completely disappeared. It was clear that evolving the netherworld flame into the immortal underworld flame was much more difficult than he had imagined. Although the netherworld flame could be ridden on the immortal underworld flame after it evolved, the immortal underworld flame obtained through different advancement methods was also very different. According to Tao Venerate Red Lotus, only the immortal underworld flame that evolved through one method was the true immortal underworld flame. Only this immortal underworld flame ranked second on the immortal underworld flame list. This advancement method used powerful treasures known as the 6 treasures of the underworld. Although these 6 treasures were collectively known as the 6 treasures of the underworld, they actually didn't have much to do with the underworld. Among these 6 treasures, there were 2 that Tang Ao had heard of. One was the Earth Flame Essence, and the other was the Sacred Fire Stone. However, apart from the Earth Flame Essence and the Sacred Fire Stone, Tang Ao hadn't heard of the other 4 treasures. The other 4 treasures were the 9-colored sky fire crystal, the brilliant flame amber, the chaotic fire elemental bead, and the primordial fire embryo. Although he hadn't heard of them before, Tang Ao knew that these things weren't simple just by looking at their names. Furthermore, among the 2 treasures that Tang Ao had heard of, Tang Ao had only seen the Earth Fire Essence. Tang Ao had not even seen the Sacred Fire Stone. Therefore, it was unknown how long it would take for Tang Ao to advance the netherworld flame to the immortal netherworld flame. Among the celestial fires, the immortal nether flame was a 9th grade celestial fire. The predecessor of the immortal nether flame, the nether flame, was only a kind of spiritual fire. Moreover, it was only a 3rd grade spiritual fire. The reason why it was merely grade 3 was because the elixir fire that elixir refinement masters created using spirit chi or essence chi was also between grade 1 and grade 3. In other words, any pill refiner in a high-level plane could condense a pill fire using immortal spiritual energy, and its power would be comparable to the netherworld flame. This made Tang Ao very disappointed with the netherworld flame. It was clearly ranked second on the immortal fire list after advancing, but the netherworld flame was actually trashed to such an extent before advancing. Tang Ao had also seen the heaven cloud flame that Lu Yu used. The heaven cloud flame was a 7th grade spiritual fire. After knowing the grade of the heaven cloud flame, Tang Ao could also accept why his speed of refining the essence of spiritual herbs was so much slower than Lu Yu's. This was because the elixir fire that Tang Ao used to refine the essence of spiritual herbs was only a 1st grade spiritual fire that was condensed from essence chi. The huge difference between a 1st grade spiritual fire and a 7th grade spiritual fire was naturally very normal. Chapter 1685. Right now, Tang Ao's netherworld flame was still in its initial stage. Before, Tang Ao didn't have the godly fire scripture, nor did he purposely look for treasures that could help the netherworld flame evolve. Now that he knew what treasures it needed to evolve, Tang Ao came to the Flying Star Continent, a low-rank place. However, Tang Ao immediately stopped thinking about this. The Flying Star Continent only had vitality. From this point, it could be seen that the Flying Star Continent was a low-level continent. However, this low-rank continent was different from all the other low-rank continents, because there was a heaven-defying existence like the Evergreen Valley in the Flying Star Continent. Currently, Tang Ao had already seen martial artists finding immortal weapons and talismans in the Evergreen Valley. Therefore, who could guarantee that there were no treasures in the Evergreen Valley that could help the Netherworld flame evolve? Tang Ao might not know about other things, but Tang Ao had some understanding of the Earth Flame Marrow. Among the 6 treasures that could help the Netherworld flame evolve, the Earth Flame Marrow was ranked first. In other words, it was the easiest to obtain. In his previous life, Tang Ao had seen the Earth Flame Marrow twice. The first time was during an astral-reaching experts social gathering, and the other time was in a ruin. However, if Tang Ao had wanted to, that Earth Flame Marrow could have been easily obtained by Tang Ao. However, Tang Ao didn't know what the Earth Flame Marrow could be used for, so Tang Ao directly ignored it. Since the ruin was very well hidden, Tang Ao felt that if he were still in the Black-Yellow continent, he might be able to go there and take out the Earth Flame Marrow. However, right now, Tang Ao didn't know when he would be able to leave the Flying Star continent. As for going back to the Black-Yellow continent to take out the Earth Flame Marrow, he didn't need to think too much about it. However, Tang Ao felt that since there were so many heaven-defying treasures in the Evergreen Valley, it was not impossible for the Earth Flame Marrow to exist there. According to the godly fire scripture, as long as he had the Earth Flame Marrow, the Netherworld Flame would become a rank 7 spirit fire. Although there was still a long way to go before a rank 9 spirit fire, the Netherworld Flame would undoubtedly be much more powerful after reaching rank 7. More importantly, after the Netherworld Flame used the Earth Fire Marrow Flame to advance to the 7th grade spiritual fire, the Een attribute of the Netherworld Flame was neutralized by the Earth Fire Marrow Flame. In other words, after reaching rank 7, the Netherworld Flame could be used to concoct pills. Previously, Tang Ao didn't know about this. Now that he knew, Tang Ao decided that he had to pay close attention to any news about the Earth Fire Essence Flame. This was because if Tang Ao wanted to leave the Flying Star Continent, apart from using the immortal talisman he had obtained from Luo Yunshang not long ago, he would have to wait for Shui Hen's cultivation to recover to the astral-reaching realm, then shatter the void and leave this place. If Tang Ao wanted to leave the Flying Star Continent, apart from using the immortal talisman he got from Luo Yunshang not long ago, he would have to wait for Shui Hen's cultivation base to recover to the astral-reaching realm, then shatter the void and leave. However, the Tri-Treasure Blood Lotus Pill was a grade 1 immortal pill. If Tang Ao wanted to concoct the Tri-Treasure Blood Lotus Pill, he would need to restore at least half of his soul C. Chapter 1686. Although the space-breaking spell could allow one to leave this place, it had its drawbacks. After using the space-breaking spell, one would end up in an unstable space. If one used the space-breaking spell, one could still find out which continent he wanted to go to based on the rhythm of the space. However, after using the space-breaking spell, one would end up in another space. There was no choice at all. Just as Tang Ao was thinking about how to upgrade his flame of the netherworld, a refreshing pill fragrance drifted into Tang Ao's nose. Tang Ao's attention was also attracted by the pill fragrance. Based on the pill fragrance alone, Tang Ao knew that Lu Yu's pills were almost perfect. It was the first time that Tang Ao had seen such an alchemist in the Facian continent. As expected, under the watchful eyes of Tang Ao and Luo Yunshang, Lu Yu waved her hand, and the furnace opened slowly. After the cauldron was opened, 3 round pills flew out of the cauldron. Lu Yu waved his hand, and the 3 pills landed in a jade bottle beside him. The sound of jade rings colliding with each other could be heard. After the pills were made, Lu Yu did not disturb Tang Ao. She walked to the elixir testing stone and put the pills on it directly. Different from the elixir testing stone on the alchemy platform, Lu Yu's elixir testing stone was obviously more delicate. There were 9 transparent crystal pillars on Lu Yu's elixir testing stone, and each crystal pillar was divided into 9 small cells. After Lu Yu placed the supreme grade vitality augmenting pills she had refined on the elixir testing stone, a special wave instantly swept through the pills Lu Yu had refined. Immediately, the 9 crystal pillars on the elixir testing stone lit up one by one. However, when it came to the last crystal pillar, Lu Yu's batch of supreme grade vitality augmenting pills had only lit up 6 small cells. Seeing this, Lu Yu shook his head in disappointment. Lu Yu had refined this batch of pills quite well, but it was only SOSO. It did not bring out Lu Yu's full potential. The main reason was that Lu Yu had been making pills very casually, so her skills had dropped. If she had not met Tang Ao and wanted to compete with Tang Ao, Lu Yu would not have noticed this problem. Although Tang Ao was still focused on refining the elixir, Lu Yu's elixir had only lit up 6 spaces on the 9th crystal pillar. Tang Ao still noticed it. Tang Ao did not know what level it was to light up 6 cells on the 9th crystal pillar, but Tang Ao felt that he could not be worse than Lu Yu. At this time, Tang Ao had finally refined all the essence of the herbs and started to fuse them. Compared to the first time he made the supreme vitality enhancing pills, Tang Ao's cultivation had risen to the 9th level of the body refining realm, and his sea of soul had recovered a little. Tang Ao felt that it was too easy to make the supreme vitality enhancing pills again. The first time Tang Ao made the supreme vitality enhancing pills, he had used 9 days. However, after his sea of soul had recovered a little, Tang Ao used less than 4 hours to fuse the medicinal liquid and condense the pills. Chapter 1687. Tang Ao performed several complicated alchemy techniques. Then, Tang Ao's black crag alchemy furnace slowly opened. With a thought from Tang Ao, 3 crystal-clear elixirs flew out of the furnace. Tang Ao waved his hand, and the 3 elixirs fell into the jade bottle in Tang Ao's hand. Just like Lu Yu, Tang Ao refined 3 full vitality cultivating elixirs. However, because Tang Ao spent more time than Lu Yu, if Tang Ao refined elixirs of the same grade as Lu Yu, then Tang Ao would lose this round. After Tang Ao placed the jade bottle on the elixir testing stone, the 9 crystal pillars were instantly lit up. At this moment, Tang Ao and the other 2 looked at the 9th crystal pillar. Tang Ao was known as the best alchemist in the Flying Star continent. It was definitely not an undeserved reputation. Therefore, Lu Yu did not think that Tang Ao's elixirs would be any worse than his. Sure enough, under the gazes of the 3 of them, the 9 squares on the 9th crystal pillar slowly lit up one after another. While Lu Yu wore a gloomy expression, the 7th square on the 9th crystal pillar finally lit up as well. This meant that the vitality cultivating elixir Tang Ao refined had reached the level of 9 stars, level 7. Elixirs of this level could completely ignore elixir toxins. After Tang Ao refined the 9 stars, level 7 vitality cultivating elixir, Lu Yu naturally lost the first round. Fortunately, this round was the best of 3, so Lu Yu still had a chance. Moreover, the reason why Lu Yu lost in the first round was because he had let his guard down. When refining the elixirs, Lu Yu did not go all out. Although Lu Yu did not look down on Tang Ao, she still did not think that the elixirs refined by Tang Ao could be that heaven-defying. As it turned out, the pills that Tang Ao had refined were still within the acceptable range, but because she had been too careless, she had lost to Tang Ao in the first round of the competition. Tang Ao was shocked when he saw that the supreme grade vitality augmenting pill he refined could only reach the 9-star level 7 pill. Unlike Lu Yu, Tang Ao gave it his all to refine this batch of supreme grade vitality enhancing pills. Even so, the elixir Tang Ao had refined had yet to reach the level of 9-star grade 9, which made Tang Ao very puzzled. Because Tang Ao pondered for a long time, Tang Ao still did not find any problems in his alchemy process. In other words, the 9-star level 7 pill was Tang Ao's limit. With Tang Ao's knowledge of elixirs, Tang Ao had no way to refine a higher-level elixir. This made Tang Ao a little anxious. Tang Ao was never afraid of problems, but what made Tang Ao feel helpless was that he did not know where the problem was. Previously, Tang Ao had used the sky polar eyes to examine this pill testing stone. Tang Ao knew that there was no problem with this pill testing stone. Since this was the case, the problem must still be with him. However, Tang Ao really did not understand how his alchemy process could be improved. Whether it was the purity of the spirit grass extraction or the timing of the medicinal liquid fusion, Tang Ao had reached the extreme. Even so, this batch of supreme-grade vitality-enhancing pills that Tang Ao refined had only reached the level of 9-star grade 7. Chapter 1688. Of course, this was because Lu Yu had always been a rogue alchemist. If Lu Yu chose to join the alchemy guild, with her alchemy ability, she could get as many spiritual herbs as she wanted. Among the supreme-grade vitality-augmenting pills that Lu Yu had refined previously, he had refined 9-star level 8 supreme-grade vitality-augmenting pills when he was in his best condition. However, the pills that he refined during normal times were basically 9-star level 7 pills. Refining 9-star level 6 pills like this was really not in line with Lu Yu's alchemy level. Moreover, because of the Heaven Cloud Fire, even if Lu Yu refined 9-star level 7 supreme grade vitality cultivating pills, she would definitely be faster than Tang Ao. Therefore, if Lu Yu was more serious in the first round, Tang Ao would really lose. With Tang Ao's current alchemy level, refining 9-star level 7 pills was already Tang Ao's limit. However, Lu Yu was able to refine 9-star level 8 pills. After thinking for a long time, Tang Ao felt that if he had to say that there were still areas that he needed to improve in alchemy, there were only 2 areas that could be improved. The first was naturally the alchemy fire used by Tang Ao alchemy. The alchemy fire that Tang Ao used was condensed for vitality. It was only a first-grade spiritual fire, which was slightly lower in grade. In addition, there was the Black Rock Continent that Tang Ao used. Any of the alchemy furnaces that Tang Ao took out were of a higher grade than the Black Rock Continent. If he took out the Shinnon Cauldron, the Black Rock Continent would be even more incomparable to the Shinnon Cauldron. However, Tang Ao felt that even if he used a higher level flame and a better alchemy furnace, the pills that he refined would not change much. At most, the process of refining the pills would become a little easier. Thinking of this, Tang Ao seemed to vaguely discover where his problem was. However, now Tang Ao was still a little uncertain whether the real reason was the same as he thought. It was because his understanding of elixirs had not reached a certain level, so the elixirs he had refined had stopped at this level. Now, Tang Ao's mind was no longer on the 100 pieces of yuan crystals. He was competing with Lu Yu. Tang Ao felt that if he could overcome this problem, then his alchemy skills would be greatly improved. Now, although Tang Ao was sure that he could concoct immortal pills, Tang Ao wasn't very confident in his success rate. Tang Ao felt that if he could make another breakthrough in his alchemy skills, then it wouldn't be a problem for him to refine immortal pills. Senior brother Tang Ao, do you want to take a break? Lu Yu had finished concocting the pill 2 hours earlier than Tang Ao, so Lu Yu had already rested. In fact, concocting a pill of this level was nothing to Lu Yu, so he didn't need to rest at all. However, Lu Yu didn't know if Tang Ao was the same as her. Refining elixirs was very easy, and he could continue with the next round of elixir concoction. And there's no need. Junior sister Lu Yu, let's start concocting the heavy yang pill now. Tang Ao had some enlightenment just now, so he naturally wanted to take this opportunity to comprehend it. At such a time, how could Tang Ao take a break and waste such a precious opportunity? Although Tang Ao's alchemy skills were inherited from a top alchemy emperor like the Shinnon Emperor had passed away many years ago. Therefore, what the Shinnon Emperor left for Tang Ao was only some alchemy experience and skills. As for things like comprehension, there were very few. When Tang Ao alchemy encountered doubts, he naturally couldn't find the Shinnong Emperor to solve them. Previously, in the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm, after the Shinnong Emperor passed the alchemy skills to Tang Ao, he was completely reincarnated. Chapter 1689. The spiritual herbs needed to concoct the heavy yang elixir were provided by Lu Yu. When Tang Ao said that he wanted to concoct the heavy yang elixir, he didn't consider the spiritual herbs. Later, he thought that the spiritual herbs needed to concoct the heavy yang elixir were too rare. Tang Ao didn't have the spiritual herbs needed to concoct the heavy yang elixir, so Tang Ao was worried that Lu Yu might not have the spiritual herbs needed to concoct the heavy yang elixir. However, Tang Ao was worried too much. Lu Yu had been here for a long time before Tang Ao came to the Facian continent. Although Lu Yu's herb collection was not as good as that of the Alchemy Guild, as an individual alchemist, even Lin Ruchang, the leader of the Alchemy Guild, could not compare to Lu Yu's. Although Lu Yu had not joined any major forces, he had often participated in the Facian auction organized by the Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce. The elixirs refined by Lu Yu in the Facian auction usually required herbs to be auctioned. Therefore, with Lu Yu's alchemy ability, he naturally did not lack herbs. This time, Tang Ao was very focused on refining the elixir. He did not miss any detail. Obviously, Tang Ao was also trying to find out where he was lacking. Whether it was martial arts cultivation or alchemy, there would always be bottlenecks. After breaking through these bottlenecks, one would be able to see a wider world. This was the second time that Tang Ao had refined the Chongyang elixir. In the Facian continent, the Chongyang elixir was known as the most difficult elixir to refine. In the current Facian continent, Tang Ao was the only alchemist who could refine the Chongyang elixir. Although it was rumored that Lin Ruchang, the leader of the Alchemy Guild, could also refine the Chongyang elixir. However, although Lin Ruchang had tried to refine the Chongyang elixir, he had never succeeded so far. Because of this, Tang Ao was the only alchemist who could refine the Chongyang elixir. But in fact, this was not the case. At this moment, Lu Yu, who was beside Tang Ao, was obviously able to refine the heavy yang pill. Otherwise, Lu Yu would not agree to refine the heavy yang pill to compete with Tang Ao. Apart from Lu Yu, there was also an alchemist in the Leisure Mountain Villa who could refine the Chongyang elixir. Since he had lost to Tang Ao in the first round of the competition, Lu Yu was extra serious in his alchemy this time. At this moment, Lu Yu's eyes were shut, completely isolating himself from the outside world. His entire being was immersed in cultivating pills. Lu Yu was different from Tang Ao. Although he had the spiritual herbs to concoct the Chongyang elixir, the Chongyang elixir was not practical. Therefore, he had never concocted the Chongyang elixir before. However, to an alchemist of Lu Yu's level, pills that he had never refined before were not that terrifying. Lu Yu skillfully threw the spirit herbs into her furnace. Just by looking at her skillful movements, no one would be able to tell that Lu Yu was concocting the heavy yang elixir for the first time. In fact, it was Lu Yu's first time refining the Chongyang elixir. It was just that after refining pills to a certain extent, it seemed that no matter what kind of pill it wasn't that difficult to refine any pill. Lu Yu wouldn't have dared to say this if he was refining a high-grade elixir. However, refining a low-grade elixir like the Chongyang elixir wasn't a problem for Lu Yu. On the other side, Tang Ao had already begun to refine the spirit grass. Chapter 1690. Just like Lu Yu, Tang Ao sat cross-legged in front of his furnace with his eyes closed. Alchemy was different from martial cultivation. The more diligent one was in martial cultivation, the greater the chance of breaking through to the next realm, and the faster one's cultivation would grow. However, the focus of alchemy was comprehension. Although diligent practice was equally important to continuously improve one's alchemy level, one needed to constantly comprehend. Inside the furnace, Tang Ao was still using the alchemy fire condensed from Yuan Qi. Tang Ao had refined the heavy yang pill before, so Tang Ao naturally knew that the most difficult part of refining the heavy yang pill was to extract the essence of the spirit herbs. Compared to other pills, the essence of the heavy yang pill spirit herbs was really difficult to extract, especially when Tang Ao only had the alchemy fire. The difficulty of extracting the essence of the spirit herbs had increased a lot. Tang Ao saw that no matter what kind of spirit herb was thrown into Lu Yu's alchemy furnace, Lu Yu's heavenly cloud flame would be able to quickly refine the spirit herb. Drops of clear and transparent medicinal essence would quickly be extracted by Lu Yu. However, in his own alchemy furnace, Tang Ao discovered that his alchemy flame had been burning the spirit herbs for a long time, but most of the spirit herbs still didn't have any reaction. If Tang Ao was in the life and death realm, then even if Tang Ao used the alchemy fire to refine pills, his speed would not be slow. However, right now, Tang Ao was only at the 9th level of the body refining realm. Tang Ao used the alchemy fire to refine pills, so naturally, he did not have the ability to do so. Just now, Tang Ao had thought that the pills he refined might not have much to do with the alchemy fire in the furnace. However, this thought was clearly half wrong. The grade of the pills he refined might not have much to do with the alchemy furnace, but it was clearly related to the alchemy fire. Because of the alchemy fire, some medicinal liquid essence could not be extracted in time. If one wanted to refine a top-level pill, one did not have to extract all the spirit herb's essence and then start to fuse the spirit herb's essence to form the pill. Instead, during the concoction process, the essence of different spiritual herbs had to be fused together at the most optimal time, leaving all the medicinal power of the spiritual herbs behind. Only then would the concocted elixir be the best. However, Tang Ao only had an alchemy fire. If he was refining ordinary dawn, it would be fine. However, refining the heavy yang dan was a pill that required a lot of fire. So, Tang Ao just used his alchemy fire to refine dawn. Although he said this, Tang Ao still tried his best to do his best. Moreover, during this pill concoction, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was completely focused on the changes in the various medicinal liquids in the pill furnace. Tang Ao suddenly had a realization. He could faintly feel that the various medicinal liquids and essences of the various spirit herbs had a special attraction relationship. As long as he concocted this relationship, pill concoction would become very easy. However, this relationship was very vague. It could not be seen, nor could it be touched. Even if he felt it, he could only faintly feel it. However, Tang Ao was sure that he truly felt it. After having this feeling, Tang Ao made a bold decision. That was to completely let go of his soul remembrance control over the various spirit herbs. Instead, he would follow this vague feeling to combine the pills. Chapter 1691. Tang Ao himself did not realize that the speed of Tang Ao's alchemy had suddenly increased, even though he was using the most common alchemy fire to refine the elixirs. However, Tang Ao was completely immersed in the alchemy process, so Tang Ao did not notice this change. Even so, Tang Ao still made a certain discovery. The process of refining the Chongyang elixir had suddenly become a lot easier after he had naturally refined the elixir. Although the Chongyang elixir was not a very challenging elixir for Tang Ao, when Tang Ao was refining the Chongyang elixir, Tang Ao felt that the alchemy process had become abnormally simple. While Tang Ao and Lu Yu were refining the Chongyang elixir, Luo Yunshang was quietly watching from the side. Although Tang Ao and Lu Yu were both top-notch alchemists, there was nothing interesting about their alchemy. Perhaps alchemy was a boring thing. The more top-notch an alchemist was, the quieter they would be when refining elixirs. At this moment, Tang Ao and Lu Yu were very quietly sitting in front of the alchemy furnace. If the two of them had not occasionally changed their alchemy skills, Luo Yunshang would have thought that the two of them had fallen asleep. While Tang Ao and Lu Yu were competing in alchemy, other things were happening in the outside world. It had been 3 months since the appearance of the Scarlet Wasteland. During these 3 months, almost all the forces of the Phaeacian continent had come to the Scarlet Wasteland. The 8 overlord forces and some other large forces had already built fortresses in the Scarlet Wasteland. After 3 months of exploration, everyone found that the Scarlet Wasteland could be divided into 4 regions. These 4 regions were the periphery of the Scarlet Wasteland, the central region, and the depths of the Scarlet Wasteland. The last region was a bit special. This region directly passed through the first 3 regions. This region was the eastern region between the Scarlet Wasteland and the Evergreen Valley. It was also known as the Evergreen Mountain Range. Right now, Tang Ao was in the Evergreen Mountain Range. The reason why everyone paid attention to the Evergreen Mountain Range, in addition to its special geographical location, was the formation of the Evergreen Market. With the influx of many forces and rogue cultivators, the Evergreen Market was naturally born. The first force to enter the Evergreen Market was no surprise. It was the top chamber of commerce in the Phaeacian continent, the 9-colored deer chamber of commerce. It had to be admitted that businessmen were always keen. In less than 3 days after the 9-colored deer merchant guild entered the Evergreen Market, they had obtained huge benefits in the Evergreen Market. The Scarlet Wasteland had more resources than any other place. At the same time, it also had a higher density of martial artists than other places. With so many martial artists gathered in one place, naturally, fights were inevitable. When there was a fight, there would be injuries, there would be deaths. Although the Alchemy Guild had long been selling pills in the Alchemy Guild's fortress, it had to be admitted that the location of the Alchemy Guild's fortress was really not good. The Alchemy Guild's fortress happened to be located in the central region of the Scarlet Wasteland, where all kinds of monsters often appeared. However, the Alchemy Guild's martial artists were strong, so they had the confidence to set up camp there. On the other hand, the martial artists who came to ask for pills were very likely to be injured. No one would dare to go to the Alchemy Guild to ask for pills. Chapter 1692. Under such circumstances, the 9-colored deer merchant guild only stayed in the Evergreen Market for 3 days and naturally made a lot of money. With the 9-colored deer merchant guild taking the lead, many small and medium-sized forces that didn't have a base also set up camp around the Evergreen Market. In this way, the Evergreen Market was quickly formed. During this time, there were also 2 important pieces of news. The first was that the 9-colored deer merchant guild had officially formed an alliance with the Golden Seeking Pavilion. In order to strengthen the alliance, the Golden Seeking Pavilion's young master Zhang Zifan was also married to the 9-colored deer merchant guild's young Miss Shenluoli. Normally, the marriage between these 2 forces would definitely be suppressed, but at this critical juncture, even the Liu family manor didn't make any moves. One had to know that the 9-colored deer merchant guild's financial strength was very terrifying. Even Liu Chuanjia admitted that even the combined financial strength of 3 Liu family manors couldn't compare to the 9-colored deer merchant guild. The Golden Seeking Pavilion that formed an alliance with the 9-colored deer merchant guild was also not an ordinary force. The Golden Seeking Pavilion could be considered a rather mysterious mercenary group. The Golden Seeking Pavilion had 2 main businesses. One was to search for secrets and explore all kinds of ruins. The other was to accept all kinds of mercenary missions. Whether it was to find rare treasures or kill enemies, no matter what kind of mission, as long as the price was right, the Golden Seeking Pavilion would do it. Someone once joked with the Golden Seeking Pavilion's great pavilion master Zhang Jujin, asking if he could buy Liu Chuanjia's head. Zhang Jujin said indifferently, afraid that the person couldn't afford the price. That person naturally didn't give up and said he wanted to buy a strand of Liu Chuanjia's hair. After agreeing to Zhang Jujin's astronomical price of 100 essence cultivating pills, the person saw a strand of white hair in front of Liu Chuanjia's forehead. Liu Chuanjia's forehead always had 3 strands of white hair, but during that time, Liu Chuanjia's white hair had obviously been shaved off. After that incident, Zhang Jujin also disappeared for a period of time. Some people guessed that he was seriously injured by Liu Chuanjia, but as for what happened, no one knew. At this time, The alliance between the Nine-Colored Deer Merchant Guild and the Golden Seeking Pavilion naturally attracted the attention of countless people. With the financial strength of the Nine-Colored Deer Merchant Guild and the military strength of the Golden Seeking Pavilion, no one knew to what extent these two forces would develop. In addition to this matter, there was another major event. The Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce will be holding an auction in the Evergreen Market 7 days later. This auction was worth looking forward to because as the cultivators ventured deeper into the Scarlet Wasteland, they discovered that there were many ruins in the depths of the Scarlet Wasteland. However, the depths of the Scarlet Wasteland were far too dangerous, so without sufficient preparation, no one dared to rashly enter. Therefore, at the Evergreen auction this time around, there would be many elixirs, spirit weapons, cultivation techniques, secret techniques, and all sorts of rare treasures. For this Evergreen auction, the Nine-Colored Deer Merchant Guild had even brought forward the Nine-Colored Deer Merchant Guild's 100-year grand ceremony that was held once every 100 years. During the ceremony, as long as one's luck was heaven-defying, they could even bid for the items they wanted for free. Chapter 1693. While Tang Ao and Lu Yu were still refining pills, a maid also walked to the door of Lu Yu's tent. "Abai, what's the matter?" Luo Yunshang immediately walked out and asked after seeing the maid at the door. Abai bowed to Luo Yunshang and said, "Miss Yunshang, the Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce will hold a centennial auction in the Evergreen Market in 7 days. Master asked me to invite alchemist Lu to discuss it." Although Lu Yu was focused on concocting pills, he naturally heard the conversation between the two of them. Immediately, Lu Yu said nonchalantly, "Just tell the Lin family head that I am not interested in this centennial ceremony. I will not participate in the Lin family's discussion." But, although Abai also knew that Lu Yu would most likely answer like this, if she went back like this, she really didn't know if Linhu City would eat her up. Just when Abai was in a dilemma, Tang Ao said, "Do you have a brochure for the auction items now?" Tang Ao had a certain understanding of the Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce now. The Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce was a super large chamber of commerce that had existed in the Flying Star continent for thousands of years. Now that the Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce was about to hold a centennial auction, there would naturally be a lot of good things. Therefore, Tang Ao still had to go to the Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce's centennial ceremony. Tang Ao felt that there were all kinds of immortal equipment and talismans in Evergreen Valley. Tang Ao didn't believe that there would be no good things in the Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce's centennial ceremony. After Tang Ao asked, Abai also hurriedly took out a scroll. This scroll recorded some of the treasures that the Nine-Colored Deer Chamber of Commerce would auction in the centennial ceremony. It was given to Abai by a male martial artist who liked her. Although this thing was not precious to alchemists like Tang Ao, it was still very difficult for a maid like Abai to get such a scroll. After Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to control the pill in the pill furnace and slowly refined it, Tang Ao took the scroll from Abai's hand. With just a glance, Tang Ao revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Tang Ao originally wanted to accept this scroll, but after seeing Abai's somewhat reluctant expression, Tang Ao immediately took out a blank scroll and burned a complete copy of Abai's scroll. Then Tang Ao grabbed a bottle of medicinal pills from his storage ring and handed it to Abai. "Thank you, miss." After saying this, Tang Ao said to Lu Yu, "There are many good things in this auction. Junior sister Lu Yu, why don't you go and have a look?" As Tang Ao spoke, he tossed the scroll he had carved to Lu Yu. Lu Yu caught it and glanced at it in surprise. Because the items auctioned during the Nine-Colored Deer Merchant Guild's 100-year celebration were too astonishing, Lu Yu suspected that some of the items on the scroll had the same name if there were no pictures. This was because there were many items that were extremely rare even in Lu Yu's previous realm. Although Lu Yu also knew that Evergreen Valley was special, looking at some of the items on the scroll, Lu Yu was still very interested. Therefore, after thinking for a moment, Lu Yu said to Abai, "I already know about what you and family head Lu talked about the Evergreen auction. However, I'm concocting pills now, so I won't be going to the family meeting. Chapter 1694. This was because on this auction list, Tang Ao saw an auction for a Earth Firestone Ruins route map. Although Tang Ao knew that there wouldn't be only one such map, Tang Ao was still very interested in this Earth Firestone Ruins route map. This was because in order for Tang Ao's netherworld flame to advance, it needed to devour a treasure called Earth Fire Marrow. Tang Ao did not know if the cultivator who discovered the Earth Firestone remnant knew about the existence of the Earth Fire Essence flame. However, Tang Ao knew that as long as there was an Earth Firestone, there would definitely be an Earth Fire Essence flame. However, it wasn't easy to find an Earth Fire Marrow with normal methods. If the Earth Fire Marrow was hidden in the Earth Firestone, a warrior wouldn't be able to find it with soul remembrance alone. However, Tang Ao had heavenly extreme pupils. With them, he could easily find an Earth Fire Marrow. Therefore, Tang Ao had to obtain this Earth Firestone Ruins route map, no matter what. However, Tang Ao felt that it wouldn't be easy to obtain this Earth Firestone Ruins route map in the Blood Wasteland. Earth Firestone was a special spiritual material. This spiritual material could be used to set up arrays, forge tools, or concoct pills. Using Yuan Qi to condense a pill fire was the most normal first-grade spirit fire. However, the flame produced by the burning of the Earth Firestone was a third-grade spirit fire. Currently, it was a special period. Both spirit weapons and pills were consumed greatly. This large gap naturally required pill masters and blacksmiths to constantly produce pills and spirit weapons to make up for it. Not only were Earth Firestones needed to concoct elixirs and spirit artifacts, they were also needed to set up some barrier formations and even some traps. Therefore, Tang Ao felt that there would definitely be many people interested in this Earth Firestone ruin. Although there definitely wasn't just one map, without a doubt, whoever obtained the Earth Firestone first would have the most advantage. The person who entered the ruin first could not only collect large amounts of Earth Firestones first, but could also collect the other treasures in the ruin first. Therefore, Tang Ao estimated that by the time the auction started, the map of the Earth Firestone ruins would definitely be in high demand. However, no matter how popular it was, Tang Ao still decided to fight for it. Of course, if he really couldn't get it, he could only think of other ways. After all, it hadn't been long since Tang Ao came to the Flying Star continent. Although Tang Ao was now known as the #1 alchemist on the Flying Star continent, in terms of pure wealth, Tang Ao felt that he might not even be a match for an ordinary 7- or 8-star alchemist. Although the pills that Tang Ao concocted were good, Tang Ao had no chance to sell the pills that he concocted. Thinking of refining pills, Tang Ao secretly scolded himself for being muddle-headed. Now that the identity jade plate of the Alchemy Guild was still with him, he only needed to refine some pills to auction. With his reputation as the #1 alchemist on the Flying Star continent, Tang Ao didn't doubt that the pills he refined could be auctioned at a good price. However, with the current situation, Tang Ao felt that it would be a little troublesome to participate in the auction with his real identity. Therefore, before going to the auction, he still had to refine a masked spirit weapon that could disguise himself. This kind of masked spirit weapon that could disguise oneself had never been refined by Tang Ao before, because with Tang Ao's strength, he didn't need it at all. However, it was not possible now. Chapter 1695. It was obvious that Lu Yu was much smarter than him. She had been accumulating cultivation resources in an unusually low-key manner. Even though her alchemy skills were better than the current Elixir Guild's master, no one knew that Lu Yu's alchemy skills had reached such a level. As for Lu Yu looking for him, it was probably due to the mutual appreciation between alchemists. She wanted to compare alchemy skills with an alchemist whose alchemy skills were similar to his. While Tang Ao was thinking about these things, Lu Yu had finished refining the heavy yang elixir. At this time, the help of high-grade flames and alchemy was fully displayed in Lu Yu's hands. It should be known that at this time, Tang Ao had not even finished refining all the spiritual herbs. However, Liu had already refined the elixir. It was obvious that Liu was very confident in her furnace of elixir. Walking to the side of the elixir testing stone, Liu placed the heavy yang elixir that she had just refined on it. Immediately, Tang Ao and Luo Yunshang saw that the crystal columns on the elixir testing stone were lit up one after another. There was no doubt about the first 8 crystal columns. Both of them saw the 9th crystal column. Liu was also looking at the 9th crystal column. This time, Liu's confidence was obviously not without reason. This was because this time, the 9th crystal column lit up 8 small cells. This meant that the heavy yang elixir that Liu had refined this time had reached the level of a 9-star, level 8 elixir. This kind of elixir was very rare, no matter where it was. Although Liu had refined 9-star, level 8 elixir before, she was also very happy to be able to refine such a high-grade elixir again in this competition. Tang Ao also did not expect this little girl to be so good at alchemy. Compared to Liu, Tang Ao had no confidence in his furnace of elixir at all. This was because when refining this furnace of elixir, Tang Ao had tried too many things that he had never tried before. These attempts might bring him a surprise, but of course, there was also the possibility of accidents. However, until now, Tang Ao himself was not sure whether what he waited for after trying would be a surprise or an accident. Senior brother Tang Ao, you have to do your best. Liu was obviously very happy to have refined such a high-grade pill. Her voice was very soft, and when she spoke to Tang Ao in such a tone, Tang Ao felt a tingling sensation. When Luo Yunshang saw Liu's reaction, she couldn't help but roll her eyes. Although Liu usually looked mature, in Luo Yunshang's opinion, Liu was like a child most of the time. He didn't know what the result of Tang Ao's attempt would be. But now the speed of Tang Ao alchemy was really a lot faster. After half an hour, Tang Ao also finished refining the Chongyang pill. The last time he refined the Chongyang pill, Tang Ao took a long time to refine, but this time, Tang Ao didn't take more than 2 hours, and he was delayed by a buy in the middle. With a change of Tang Ao's hand gestures, the pill furnace was slowly opened by Tang Ao. After opening the pill furnace, Tang Ao felt a little guilty, because after opening the furnace this time, the Chongyang pill refined by Tang Ao didn't even have a pill fragrance. And after Tang Ao took out the elixir, these 3 Chongyang pills were also ordinary, and it seemed that the grade was extremely poor. Chapter 1696. With a nervous heart, Tang Ao calmly walked to the side of the pill testing stone. Liu was a little confused when he saw Tang Ao's pill. Now that he saw Tang Ao's expression, Liu was even more confused. However, Liu didn't think too much about it. No matter how good Tang Ao's pill was, he would know once he saw the pill testing stone. But what Tang Ao didn't expect was that after Tang Ao put the pill on the pill testing stone, the stone didn't have any reaction. After a while, the stone suddenly lit up. At this moment, Tang Ao clearly saw all the pillars of light on the pill testing stone release a bright light. Even the 9th square of the crystal stone pillar lit up for a moment. However, the 9th square only lit up for a moment before it was extinguished. In the end, Tang Ao's heavy yang pill was fixed at the level of a 9-star level 8 pill. In this way, Tang Ao's pill refining failure was really due to the flame. If Tang Ao also had a flame of the same level as the heavenly cloud flame, then Tang Ao's pill refining speed wouldn't necessarily be slower than Liu's. However, Tang Ao didn't think too much about it. He just smiled bitterly. Moreover, Tang Ao was quite satisfied with this result. This was because Tang Ao had already grasped the secret of refining a higher level pill. It was the feeling of being able to follow one's heart. Previously, this feeling was very vague, but Tang Ao was sure that if he refined another batch of heavy yang pills, it was very likely that he would be able to refine a 9-star level 9 pill. However, now that they knew about the 9-colored Deer Chamber of Commerce's centennial celebration, whether it was Tang Ao or Liu, they were no longer in the mood to compete. After the 2 previous matches, the two of them should be evenly matched in alchemy. Therefore, if they continued to compete, they wouldn't be competing on alchemy, but on luck. Moreover, from the looks of it, this kind of competition was somewhat unfair to Tang Ao, because Tang Ao did not have any powerful flames, and could only use the most ordinary alchemic fire. Junior sister Luyu, how about we call this a draw? Before the competition, Tang Ao had vowed that he would win 100 yuan crystals from Luyu. But now, Tang Ao knew that he had thought too much. These 100 pieces of essence crystals were completely not that easy to obtain. He had the same thought as Tang Ao. Although 100 crystals was nothing to Luyu, it could be considered a small fortune at the moment. Just based on Tang Ao's performance this time, Tang Ao's alchemy ability was clearly not weaker than hers. All right, then senior apprentice brother Tang Ao, let's spar again next time. All right, senior apprentice brother Tang Ao, are you preparing to go to Evergreen Market? After seeing the list of treasures that the 9-colored Deer Chamber of Commerce was auctioning, Luyu could no longer sit still. At this moment, Luyu's big eyes were filled with little stars, as if as long as she went, those treasures would all be hers. If it was before, Tang Ao would not have said anything, but after witnessing Luyu's amazing alchemy skills, Tang Ao felt that the value of his high-grade elixirs might drop. As the saying goes, the rarer something is, the greater its value. If the elixirs that Tang Ao refined were unique, the price would naturally soar. However, the elixirs refined by Luyu were not any worse than his. Therefore, if Tang Ao wanted to make a fortune in elixirs, he would have to face a strong competitor like Luyu. Thinking of this, Tang Ao smiled bitterly. Tang Ao could never imagine that there would be such a monstrous talent in alchemy in the Flying Star continent. If such a martial artist was cultivated in those high-level planes, he might have become an alchemy master long ago. What Tang Ao did not know was that he was right this time, because Liu was really an alchemy master. While Tang Ao was thinking about these things, Liu was also thinking in his heart, why would there be such a monstrous alchemy master like Tang Ao in a low-level plane like the Flying Star continent? If Tang Ao could learn alchemy in the true martial domain, he might have become an alchemy master by now. Thinking of this, Liu even wondered if he should take Tang Ao with him if he had the chance to leave here. After having this thought, Liu could not help but turn his head to look at Tang Ao. When Liu turned his head to look at Tang Ao, Liu found that Tang Ao was also touching his chin and looking at him thoughtfully. Seeing Tang Ao's expression, Liu felt a little strange. He did not understand why Tang Ao was looking at him like this. After noticing Liu's expression, Tang Ao also felt a little embarrassed. Therefore, he could only chuckle twice. Chapter 1697. Senior brother Tang Ao, are you going to Evergreen Market now? Luo Yunshang asked after hearing the conversation between Tang Ao and Luyu. Luo Yunshang had only just learned about this Evergreen Market. After all, it had only been formed for a few days. Luo Yunshang also wanted to follow Tang Ao and Luyu to Evergreen Market, but now that she was engaged to Lin Xiaofeng, it would be inconvenient for her and Tang Ao to go together. Oh, Alchemist Tang Ao and Alchemist Lu, you are going to Evergreen Market. At this time, Lin Huqing also walked in from outside the tent. He was overjoyed when he saw that Tang Ao was still in Luyu's tent. He had already heard that this Tang Ao in front of him was the #1 pill refinement master in the Flying Star continent, the #1 pill refinement master in the alchemy conference not long ago. Previously, Lin Huqing thought that it was a martial artist with the same name. He didn't expect that the heavens would really bless the Lin family. Tang Ao actually came to them on his own initiative. Seeing the change in Lin Huqing's eyes, Tang Ao already knew that Lin Huqing should have recognized him. A tall tree attracts the wind, not to mention that he was a fat sheep in these people's eyes. Tang Ao knew that it wouldn't be easy for him to leave now. However, even if it wasn't easy, Tang Ao still had to leave. Before Tang Ao could say that he wanted to leave, Lin Huqing spoke first. Alchemist Tang Ao, Although Lady Yunshang is engaged to my son, this old man only wanted the two of them to try to get along. However, my son is obsessed with martial arts, so I'm afraid it will delay Lady Yunshang. Now that this old man thinks that Lady Yunshang and Alchemist Tang Ao are very compatible, why don't this old man make the decision to cancel the marriage between my son and Lady Yunshang and let Tang Ao and Lady Yunshang try to get along? Lin Huqing was astute and could naturally see that the relationship between Tang Ao and Yunshang wasn't ordinary. Moreover, the Lin family was the mastermind behind the Luo family. Lin Huqing wouldn't be able to sleep well if he left the daughter of his enemy at home. Since Tang Ao was interested in Luo Yunshang, Lin Huqing might as well help the two. He could also use Luo Yunshang to tie Tang Ao to the Lin family. Tang Ao had heard the conversation between Lin Huqing and Lin Xiaofeng. Therefore, how could Tang Ao not know what Lin Huqing was thinking? But Tang Ao didn't refuse. He said, "Thank you for your kind intentions, Master Lin. Since Sir Lin and Sister Yunshang aren't suitable, naturally, I won't force you." Tang Ao already saw that there were 4 Origin Realm cultivators in the Lin family. But Tang Ao didn't refuse. He said, "Thank you, Patriarch Lin, for your kind intentions. Since Sir Lin and Sister Yunshang aren't compatible, I can't force you." Tang Ao saw that there were 4 Origin Martial Realm cultivators in the Lin family. There was a faint aura of death around them. They clearly cultivated some evil technique. One of them looked similar to Lin Huqing. He should be someone from Lin Huqing's father's generation. Tang Ao was at the 9th level of the body refining realm. He couldn't handle the 4 of them, so Tang Ao didn't immediately leave the Lin family. Tang Ao knew that if he said he wanted to leave now, he would be stopped by the 4. With Tang Ao's current strength, he really couldn't handle the 4 of them. Although Luo Yunshang and Lu Yu were also at the 9th level of the body refining realm, they clearly weren't good at fighting. It was very disadvantageous for Tang Ao to fight now. Chapter 1698. This was the Lin family's base. Other than the 4 from Lin Huqing's group, there were many other Lin family cultivators. No matter how conceited Tang Ao was, he wouldn't be conceited to this extent. He wouldn't be able to leave with Luo Yunshang even after he was injured from the battle with Lin Huqing's group. Haha, since Alchemist Tang Ao and Alchemist Lu Yu are going to the Evergreen Market, why don't we go together in 5 days? Lin Huqing's words were very polite, but in reality, he wasn't polite at all. Originally, Tang Ao planned to go to the Evergreen Market right away. However, after Lin Huqing's words, Tang Ao could only delay his arrival by 5 days. Many things could happen in 1 day, let alone 5 days. Moreover, it was still a question whether he could go with the Lin family in 5 days. In the current situation, Tang Ao knew his value better than anyone else. A top-notch alchemist who could deliver unlimited high-rank pellets. Tang Ao was absolutely certain that there were countless forces looking for him right now. If the Lin family was one of the 8 overlords, it wouldn't be a problem for him to stay in the Lin family for 5 days. Although the situation on the Flying Star continent was changing, as one of the 8 overlords, it was impossible for them to be destroyed in a few days. However, even though the Lin family was quite a sizable power, it was still far from being comparable to the 8 great overlords. Therefore, if the news that he was in the Lin family was leaked, or if the Lin family intentionally handed him over to a powerful force, then Tang Ao would be in a very dangerous situation. Right now, even a power like the Lin family had 4 Origin Realm martial artists. Who knew how many Origin Realm martial artists the overlord powers of the Facian continent had right now? Although Tang Ao was confident that even a 2nd-level Origin Realm cultivator wouldn't be able to do anything to him in a one-on-one situation, it wasn't an arena competition right now. It was the time when the forces of the Flying Star continent were fighting for supremacy in the Central Plains. In this period of time, in order to develop one's force and survive in the struggle for supremacy, no matter what happened, no matter what methods were used, no one will be surprised. Lin Lang, from now on, you will be in charge of Alchemist Tang Ao's safety. While Tang Ao was thinking, Lin Huqing said with a smile. Hearing Lin Huqing's order, a young warrior with a scar on his eye walked over from outside the crowd. This young martial artist exuded a strong, murderous aura, and there was a bloody smell on his body. It was obvious that he was a martial artist who had been fighting all year round. Lin Lang's eyes were very cold. When he got closer, he only glanced at Tang Ao indifferently. After that, he didn't do anything. Lin Lang shouldn't have been here previously. When Tang Ao used his skypolarity eyes to scan the area, he didn't discover Lin Lang's presence. Just now, when Tang Ao was deciding whether or not to stay, he used the celestial pole pupils to check. So, Tang Ao knew that there were only 4 Origin Realm martial artists there. However, the Lin Lang in front of Tang Ao was also a martial artist at the first level of the Origin Realm. Also, Tang Ao could tell that Lin Lang had clearly just broken through to the first level of the Origin Realm because the aura on his body was still quite strong. To be more precise, Tang Ao felt that Lin Lang definitely didn't take more than 4 hours to break through to the Origin Realm. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.